Welcome to the NGE Shadowverse Open. We're on number 8 today, so there are only 2 more left after this one.
You
you
showed up 4 fingers, and I was like, is that 9? God, never mind. I thought it was gonna be like 5. I expected to see 5-3.
5-3?
And that's not what that's not what I saw.
See, that's what happens when you're a mathematical thinker.
See, it's okay because my shirt has toggles on it.
Toggles. Okay, chat. I need a moment from you guys before we jump into the Shadowverse Open. What the hell are toggles? Why do you know the name of those things?
Because I've seen medieval movies and stuff. These are toggles. I've had this shirt since high school, and I've never worn it since. And I just found it in my closet, and I was like, this shirt is amazing.
What? You got that in high school?
Yeah.
Never wore it once?
Well, no, I wore it in high school. I just haven't worn it
since high school.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
toggles look like the kinds of things that would be nice on coats, nice on bags.
On a polo?
You know,
yeah.
it looks nice on you, I'll give you that much.
Oh,
But,
thanks.
God, toggles.
That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. I just wanted Rainey to say. that
I'm
was
just
nice.
jealous because you always look so handsome. All right. Great. So,
That's out of the way.
NGE Shadowverse Open number 8 before we...
I'm Sterling. This is Rainey.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Nobody cares who we are.
So
Let's get into the
so
format.
true.
Let's get into the format of the NGE Shadowverse Open number 8. We've done this for a while now. You guys should know the deal. But let's go through it just a little bit. Open entry is where we are. There's only 2 more open entry tournaments remaining before we find the 10 players who want first place to go directly into playoffs phase 1, plus 6 more players from leaderboard invites will join them to make 16 players heading into the playoffs. Playoffs phase 2, where they cut to 8 players. Those 8 will win cash prizes of up to $10,000 up for grabs. And we'll see who the first place winner comes out of that. We'll be given the flair for the champion, the grand champion.
The grand champion.
The NGE Shadowverse Open. Season 1, just the first season. Just the first one. And I'm excited to see how that plays out. Yeah.
Don't hold me to that. But yes.
But the playoffs are not the only opportunity for people to win prizes. Each weekly open entry tournament has their own prizes. Let's take a look at what those are. 30,000 vials. You get a flare that says you are a weekly champion, as well as a direct invite to the playoffs, as we mentioned. Then second place gets 10,000 vials, and third, fourth, 5,000 vials apiece. And everybody who joins gets the NGE emblem there that you see. So, pretty fun. Pretty cool. Love to see all these players, these repeat participants coming in, just trying their hand, whether they're competitive players or they just are playing for fun.
Trying to earn as much points as possible, try to clutch one of those spots, one of those invites to the playoffs.
Yeah. And some of them, maybe they don't win, but they just like competing anyways. If you would like to do that, if that sounds like you, or if you want to go for the win, you want to take maybe these last 2 direct invites, you could go to shadowverse.nge.io, and there you will find out how to sign up for the tournament, what the rules are, when the broadcast is going to happen, when the tournament starts, all that kind of stuff, all that information, as well as, hey, download Shadowverse if you're new to the game. You can find those links there. As well as if you want to talk about the tournament, if you want to talk with us, if you want to talk with Ignidius, make sure to go on Twitter, specifically tweet at WatchNGE to reach us, the Shadowverse Open. You can say, hey, I really like Ignidius. You idiots should get off the desk and have him there. Maybe that's something that you tweet.
Wow.
Please fly Ignidius out. Please. Or you could say, hey, I love these guys. I want to see more of them. That's not the only thing that you can do, though. Make sure to check out the Twitch panels. There's giveaway information there. You could win 3,500 vials. Make your own legendary. Now that you are creating new decks and trying out new things, maybe those vials will help you out. Make sure to sign up for the giveaway. We would love to throw vials at you.
So, Rainey, there's a bit of an elephant in the room. There's nerfs. There's a big update that happened.
That's true.
Catacomb was changed, Zell, and Lightning Blast as well. 3 massive cards that we see all the time in some of the biggest decks.
Sometimes I feel like we were living through Groundhog's Day, you know, where we were like, we got up and it was the Shadowverse Open, and it was like, oh no, there's loot on the screen.
We like slept through.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just like, Catacomb is there, and the skeletons are dancing circles around us, and they're just like laughing at us and dancing, and I was about to go insane.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not following.
You're not following?
Oh man.
Okay, well that's
No, I love it. Keep going. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens today. and we can take a look at the brackets to see what we have in store for us. I believe only a few of the round of 8. Oh, now it's filled out quite well. We have Fancy Crimson, God, I always forget.
Counterpoint Virtuoso.
Counterpoint Virtuoso. I always, because there's Crimson Fencers and there's,
Lots of
Counterpoint
short
Virtuoso.
names. Yeah.
Fantasy. He's coming back. He actually has made it to the top 8 a few times, if I remember correctly, and so he's kind of a solid performer. And the guys over at CPV are all really great.
That's
so
cool.
seeing them consistently come here and make the end,
And he's going to be going
Feels
up
really
against Shadow Nexus Unlucker in the first game of the round of 8. HSK Keishi, as his opponent has yet to be determined. Shadow Nexus Sleet versus Moku. And Counterpoint Virtuoso Bloodlust in the 7th.
He's back. You've already taken your win the 7th. You won the 7th
Back
tournament.
for another round, man. I love this. This is going to be a good tournament.
Before we jump into the games, there's 2 things that I would love to bring up. The first one is taking a look at the leaderboard. Now that we're coming towards the end of the tournament, I'd love to kind of see where those where the placings stand and kind of how this is playing out. So we see the direct invites, Kira Mango, the first victor of the very first Shadowverse Open, and since then, Exodium has joined, Lest has joined, Noah, Unlucker, he's going again, Jay-Z, the 7th was the most recent, and we're about to find the 8th winner. And on the right side, the current top 6, these are the guys that are not directly invited, but are the highest placing on the points, so they are the ones that are going to be chosen to move on to the playoffs if nothing changes here.
Right, the highest points owners who have not gotten first place in one of the weeks, one of the open brackets.
And you can see Counterpoint Virtuoso right up there as Stoles is representing the top end of that points list, and then Crimson Fencers right below Auto Aim and Pot Washer. We've got SP Mart, G Omega, and Alternative. And below that, you see the NGE Shadowverse Open Season 1 MVP. Now, what that is a top points earner on the leaderboard, which currently is Mana Surge's Noah. The top points earner at the end of everything will win the Season 1
And players will still be earning
champion
points. Players will still be earning points in the playoffs and also the finals as well.
No,
Or
so
does
the
the points cut
playoffs,
off?
the points is just for the open entry
Gotcha.
tournaments. Once you're in the playoffs, that's kind of its own thing where you're just battling out for the cash prizes. But over the whole open entry phase, as you guys are collecting points, the most consistent winners will be rewarded with that flair. So typically, the highest points earners will be the tournament winners. But a player like Noah, who's gotten first place and came really close, I believe he has a 2nd place finish and a 3rd, 4th place finish as well. He's gotten so many points, so he's really high up
He's
there.
sitting pretty, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out as we keep getting closer to the end of the open entry phase. The last thing that I want to bring up, which is super exciting for me, really exciting, happening this week. This week, MomoCon. Let's take a look at some of the details of MomoCon. There's a lot happening. I would love so much for you guys to come out to Atlanta, to Georgia, to come hang out with us. Shadowverse at MomoCon 2017. We are booth 903A. 4 days of this, and there's all sorts of events. You can meet pro players, Team Cygames, The Beast, those fighting game sponsored players. You can meet Daigo Umehara, a legend in the fighting game community, as well as PR Balrog, one of the best players in the West, best players in the world. You can meet them on Thursday. So that's Thursday from 2:30 to 4:30, very early on, just a 2-hour window. You can get signatures with them, handshake, say hi, and you have a chance to win a HyperX headset if you kind of meet and greet with them.
That's
and
a
I
good
believe you,
headset.
I believe you take a selfie and then post it onto social media with the correct hashtags, and you have a chance to win a headset. More details if you come to the booth then. And then we have some really great professional cosplayers all the way from Japan coming over and doing some Shadowverse cosplay. Those can be seen at the booth as well Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So make sure you head over to check that out. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to take pictures with you, to kind of handshake. And then we have the nightly free entry Shadowverse tournaments. That's the Bell Ringer Angel alarm clock right there that you can win if you're the champion of that tournament, as well as we're just giving goodies away. We're giving those little pins that we have. We're giving away card packs. There's lots of stuff, just cool Shadowverse
Yeah, we're giving
stuff to
away
win.
whole sets of those
Yeah.
pins, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And then, of course, the last thing, on Friday at 1 p.m., there's actually a Shadowverse Take 2 show match that's going to happen between Aya Senpai and Envy Bear, the two community heroes that are going to be joining us. So make sure you go watch that on the main stage on Friday. MomoCon is going to be a lot of fun. Sterling and I will be there. We would love to hang out with you, play some Shadowverse with you, open some card packs with you.
I'll be walking around with my toggles. And you can you can come up to me like, wow, those are toggles. Like, yes.
Oh God. You know, this is why we already disbanded our band, our two-man.
Yeah, our the band's not working out. Everybody.
Nobody bought our EP.
We just really don't get along
Yeah.
as a musical group.
Yeah, it just wasn't working.
Go figure. I don't know.
It wasn't working.
We cast great together, but trying to like sing with this dude, no, not gonna happen.
All right, so would love to see you at MomoCon. Please come hang out with us. You can hang out with Envy and Aya Senpai as well. They'll be at the booth just kind of chilling. You can go around and see the convention together. It'd be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Giving away tons of Shadowverse swag. But that's for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For now, it's the NGE Shadowverse Open number 8. And we're about to hop into our first game to see who our 8th champion will be.
That's right.
I have a
excited.
feeling
Yeah.
today is going to be very interesting with all the changes.
It's gonna be exciting. I can't wait to see how many sword decks we're gonna see. I have a feeling it's gonna be a lot with the nerfs that have happened. Sword, I feel like it's gonna be
Runecraft!
absolutely massive, and it's gonna be Runecraft versus this is Dragoncraft, right? It's Ryu.
This is Ryu.
Dragoncraft is Ryu.
Yeah, Dragon.
Great.
Ryu is he channels the power of the dragon.
Gotcha. I'm gonna assume this is D shift. Is that a decent assumption?
D
as
shift
opposed to Daria.
So the big thing about D shift is it typically runs little to no followers. I mean, Levi is pretty okay just because you get the spell boost, but having
Right.
the two frat boys in there, Clark and Craig, kind of tell me that it's probably Daria.
Probably Daria. Yeah.
Probably Daria, but who knows? Who
feel you.
knows? It could be anything. Maybe it's just a deck that he built just because. No
Gotcha.
clue.
Gotcha. And Unlucker getting a really good curve with the Dragon Oracle into the Rahab. One of the best curves you can see in Fantasy using Kaleidoscopic Glow on the the Craig. Just to get that extra spell boost yet again on the next turn. I don't think he's worried about this 2 damage he's going to take.
The big problem here is so far we see a lot of very fast-paced cards, right? We see Scyther, we have Forte in hand, and so already on board we have a Grimner and a Rahab that's pumping up. There's going to be a lot of damage coming down on Fantasy soon, and if it is a Daria deck, there's no Daria in hand. In fact, there's not a lot of spell boost cards available in hand at all.
Right.
Emilu is a 2/2.
Right.
Not
He's
really
got
gonna stop
spells, and
anything.
he's got Clark and Craig as well, but there's nothing to really spell boost with all of those tools that he has in his hand. And Unlucker, he's got Sybil, he's got Forte, and then Bahamut after that. He's going to be able to play Sybil this turn. He'll be in overflow, and he's going to, the healing is not really going to matter, but this Rahab is already getting buffed up as well, too.
Yeah, this is going to be a real tough situation here.
Yeah, Fantasy's not careful. This could be over really quickly.
Opts to take down the 2/2 here. And he's going to trade with Rahab and now full board control. Now, there are a lot of spells on the hand of Fantasy, so he should be able to find some way to navigate out of this situation. Finally does a Daria
He
come
gets a
out.
Daria, and he was able to get the 2-cost Piercing Rune, so he's got that in his hand as well, and the Angelic Snipe being able to take out that Rahab with 1 health. Man, that's got to feel good.
So now it's time for Runecraft to really try to bounce back, but he's going to be playing a lot of spells here, and that's going to open up Fantasy to take face damage from Unlucker.
Right. Now that the Daria's in hand, he can feel really comfortable about emptying out his hand, really getting as many resources on board as possible and using all those spells to try to make that Daria play happen.
Really wants to empty out his hand, so I believe Clark will spell boost 2 times, and Craig will spell boost 2 times? Once? So that's going to knock 3 points off Daria, and he's going to spend 5 for it. And unless he draws something else, I think Daria is not going to be able to be played this turn, but he really wants to expend his hand before he drops that Daria because he's basically going to throw away all these cards here.
And another Levi in his hand is going to give him a Crimson Sorcery.
And that's so important, right? Because he can't swing on the Forte.
Right. Very important to take out that Forte. Do not want another Forte coming out on the next turn, just being able to just like ramp up that damage exponentially.
Here it comes.
Being able to spend a 1-cost spell to get rid of a 6-cost follower, that's definitely an efficient trade, I would say.
So next turn he's going to be able to Demonic Strike and Craig and then play the Daria as well. And so that can be a pretty solid turn, but it does put him in this awkward spot where Unlucker can respond with a Bahamut.
Right.
And many times a big issue with Daria is unless you happen to get a very, very strong second hand and spell boost a whole bunch of it, you can kind of run yourself into a corner where you draw again and you don't have a continuous option. So...
And even if, I feel like even if the Daria, he gets a good hand from the Daria, the Bahamut or the Grimnir is just going to come out next turn, and if there's Ulgers, if there's Blade Mages, he'll get that base damage from the Blade Mage. But it's going to come down to this draw. Oh. He's got the Blade Mage and the Ulger and the Emilu as well. He's going to be able to get a full board if he wants to.
He doesn't, but remember, because he has Bahamut in hand, and I don't know if Fantasy's, I have to imagine that he's ready to play around it. But you don't want to commit too much right now.
Very true, very true.
He's going to throw the Blade Mage in there. And that might be enough to convince the Bahamut to drop.
Right, and he gets to keep the 0-cost Ulger and the Emilu, but with only Demonic Strike and Contra Golem in his hand, he's not even going to be able to fill out his play points next turn, depending on the next card that he draws, of course. And a Bahamut right here can get massive value being able to take out those 4 followers on the side of the field. So we'll see how Fantasy decides to end his turn. He's going to send out the last Emilu, try to get a full 5 followers on the board. Another Bahamut in hand. Now he's got to feel so comfortable playing that away, knowing that there's another one in hand for him.
Yeah.
And Fantasy is sitting at 13 health points already. 1 attack and it's over. It doesn't look like that Fantasy has an answer to this.
Yeah, he has no evolution.
He's going to be able to get 2 followers on board, but a Grimnir, and the next Bahamut, a Grimnir is going to be able to clear the followers, and the Bahamut is going to swing for face.
Yep, there it is. What a strong hand. I mean, it's the most unfortunate thing for Daria in this current meta. Dragon plays so fast because it ramps up so quick. Shadow also plays very quick because it gets so many followers on the board and hits you at turn 6. Turn 7 is really dangerous.
Right.
You really need to have Daria right in the opening moments.
That's why it's such a risky archetype to play, is because, like we just saw, if you don't have it early enough to spell boost and really get that full 5 board of followers a few turns earlier, then it can absolutely be detrimental.
And I mean, it wasn't even the worst situation, right? When Fantasy drew the Daria, he didn't need to spend a ton of spells, right? He still had his Crimson Sorcery, he had the Piercing Rune, he had the Angelic Snipe, as well as Clark Craig because he bounced it back. And I believe Craig actually did boost for 2.
I think you're right, yeah.
So he actually had a ton of boosts. It wasn't a situation where he had to actually unload all of his boost options and then Daria came up, because that's kind of the worst situation possible, right? Where you just don't draw your Daria for so long. But Fantasy's going to take another crack at it, and we've got a Forestcraft deck here.
For Unlucker.
We haven't seen this in a while, right? Forestcraft, by and large, has been kind of ignored.
Right.
But now with new changes, maybe it's coming back. And interestingly enough, Crystalia Tia was one of those cards that was actually kind of foregone for Lily, for Aaron, you know? And just kind of, I think people didn't really see much of a value. I guess perhaps with Grimnir in there, with Aaron in there, felt like you have kind of enough wards to tide you over.
So do you think Crystalia Tia, what do you think that says about his win condition that he's going to have in his deck? Are we going to see a Silver Bolt with White Wolf, or are we going to see Jungle Warden?
I think it could be both. Likely, I'm leaning on it being without the Wolf Bolt.
Right.
I feel like Wolf Bolt, as that, we talked a little bit about it with Ignidius, once you add another card into your combo, it makes it become so much less consistent. Oh, nice. Elf Bounce Elf.
Right.
Going to be able to remove the Emilu. And again, we see a situation where we talked about this. You don't have Daria in your opening hand. You're going to need to play Craig on things like Oglers, which isn't the worst, but you want that Daria, right?
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm leaning on kind of just the Jungle Warden Roach kind of archetype of Forestcraft. I think it's a little more consistent, a little safer to play.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'd like to see. He's got Aaron, he's got the Roaches in hand, he's building the pieces of the puzzle that he needs, and with another Ancient Elf, if CP Fantasy, and an evolved Ancient Elf on the board is that, another one in hand, if CP Fantasy doesn't realize that there's another Ancient Elf, this could be absolutely nasty, getting to bounce those elves back and forth.
Yeah, the bouncy castles. Doesn't happen often because people are pretty dead set on removing Ancient Elves when they do come out.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's got Demonic Strike in hand, easy 3 damage right there.
Yeah.
He's not going to play, he's going to go for the Ultra.
Evolve. It's going to allow it to survive with 1 health. And he's going to keep 2 Kriegs on board and get some face damage.
Very efficient turn for Fantasy, and he's only got 2 cards left in his hand, a Demonic Strike and an animated Mutagenic Bolt. Unlucker's just going to play for the Roach, try to just take out that Ulger immediately with that 1 health. It was a very prime target. 2 points for that, not a bad trade at all.
The big thing that I'm seeing right now, and this is one of the reasons why Tia has a hard time, especially when you don't run Princess Mage or Fina, is that it's a very late game card, right?
Absolutely.
Even if you have 2 1-drops, playing Tia is basically a 7-turn card, or 7 play point card, right? Because you play the 1 and the 1, and then you play Tia.
Right.
And when you're looking at Unlucker's hand, what is he gonna commit to have that Tia take into effect, right?
Right, yeah, you didn't have the Elven Princess Mage for the 0-drop fairies. It's going to be real difficult to play 2 followers, 2 cards to really get the maximum effect from that card. But he does have the Aaron, he does have the Dance of Deaths, and with so few followers in the hand for Fantasy, a Dance of Death could be absolutely insane. Could be crazy being able to get rid of one of the followers that he puts on board.
Mutagenic Bolt in hand for Fantasy is actually going to be really useful, especially when you have a health advantage over your opponent. It kind of ends up in a situation where you can actually kind of race out your opponent by just having that ticking damage every turn and just surviving the end of it. Currently, Fantasy doing really well early on. Big concern is he's actually running out of options. If he just draws into Daria, he's not really going to be... I would imagine that there would at least be 1 turn before he can play it.
And Unlucker was able to get the Fairy Circle from that last draw, enabling him to get the Tia play
just in time, too.
Just in time, not a moment too soon.
Let's see what the draw is. Time Worn Mage.
Without an
that
Evolve
means
Orb.
turn 9 Daria at the earliest. And you know,
could be Mutagenic Bolt this turn with a Piercing Rune to get an extra 2 points of face damage. That'll be 5 damage that Unlucker will take before his next turn.
And I think it's really important to consider using Mutagenic Bolt now, because you do not want to take any damage to face.
Right.
It's been a while since we've seen Forestcraft, but as far as Fantasy knows, there could be a really painful Roach combo waiting for him.
Right. It could be coming out this turn, but with 3 of the mice already on board, it limits the Forestcraft player from getting the fairies on board and and the goblin mages and filling out the board, because it limits the number of cards you're actually able to play. And the healing there absolutely necessary, being able to mitigate that 3 damage that the mice did, or the rats, I should say.
So 3 damage coming down here just from the ping. There's not really going to be a way for Fantasy to swing through. And you know, that's what happens when you play Daria, right? Sometimes you just don't get your draws. I feel like 2 games in a row, Fantasy's sitting there waiting for that Daria, waiting, and he just did not get it. The most uncomfortable thing for it too is on a mulligan, having Daria in hand isn't even the most comfortable situation either, right? Because you could get to Daria, and then you could just be sitting there getting like the Ogler, right? Getting like the Blade Mage, right? You also want the spell boost cards. And so there's a lot of just...
It's a difficult balance.
It's a lot more complicated, and this is one of the reasons when Tempest of the Gods first dropped, people quickly pushed away from Daria, because you get much more consistency out of Dragoncraft Ramp, right? How many times in Dragoncraft Ramp do you not get something like a Rahab, not get something like a Sybil? You know?
There's just so many options. The odds are in your favor much more of the time.
And even more so with Shadowcraft. Everything is kind of pushed towards the early play points. You almost always curve out on a Shadowcraft deck, right? You're almost always in that Shadow Reaper territory. If it's not Bone Chimera, it's Catacomb, right? If it's not either of those, it's maybe something else, right? And the strength and reliability of your curve is super important. For Daria decks, sometimes that just doesn't quite happen. And Fantasy really got hurt by that.
Definitely. And that's going to be Unlucker winning 2-0 and advancing to the semifinals. We'll see in the next round of 8 who his opponent is going to be, but I have a feeling like Unlucker is going to go very far in this tournament.
Yeah, maybe he's... we've said this almost every week, I think, for 3 weeks now. There's always been, whether it be Noah or Lest, or I think Jay-Z maybe in the last week.
Yeah, that's right.
And this week, Unlucker. I feel like there are a lot of people trying to gun for that second win.
Definitely.
Unlucker's looking pretty good. Let's take a look at the brackets.
And that's Unlucker in his semifinal spot. The next game is going to be HSK Keishi versus EXG Omega.
EXG had a fantastic performance last week.
They showed up last week.
Yeah.
And
In
that's
fact,
an understatement.
It was both Omega and the 7th
It
who are
was.
now back in the round of 8, so they might be still riding that
It is
Excelsior
possible we
Vindy
could
buff.
see them in the finals.
Yeah.
That would be exciting, wouldn't
Yeah. I feel like Excelsior Vindy had that fanfare effect when he appears on the Shadowverse Open,
it?
you know?
Just empowering his
All
own
the XG
teammates.
members
Yeah.
get
Like
plus.
Hector, man.
Yeah.
I'll get +3.
Oh my
Dude.
God. Vindy is Hector?
Oh, yeah, man.
Now
The
we know
Demon
who
Lord
to-
himself.
Now we know who to go to try to get Hector nerfed.
His head can't be taken.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm looking forward to it. So, Omega and the 7th, will they have a repeat performance of how they did last time? They made it all the way to the finals with just them left.
Definitely.
Unlucker is looking pretty good. I mean,
Right.
Shadow Nexus versus EXG is kind of an interesting rivalry.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really like that Forestcraft deck that Unlucker was running with. I really like his decision to just throw his Roach into the mix, right? Very early on, he just took the 1/1 Roach, traded out with the 5/1, said, you know what? I'm just going to forego my Roach. He didn't have Nature's Guidance at that point, I feel. I feel like he recognized that it was going to be a long shot to try to get that Roach win condition, so he was just going to straight play board control.
Yeah, it was solid decision making. When he got mutagenic bolted and his Tia and his ward got taken out and turned into rats, he just, okay, I'll just evolve the rat and go for face next turn.
Yeah.
I know you've only got one card in hand. What are the chances it's going to be the one card that you need to clear the board?
Yeah, and really Fantasy needed to clear out the rats, right? Because if he took too much face damage, then the rats would have pinged him for 3 and it would have been over. And so,
he was down on health for that whole game. He was able to get the Crystalia Aaron to heal up just a little bit, and that advantage of having that massive ward as well, and of course the extra face damage as well from the attack points that Aaron has, really able to close out that game in a spectacular fashion.
there are definitely certain situations. I mean, I feel like cards like Sybil, Aaron, Israfil are all really good, just because it's like, typically when people look at healing, it's kind of like, healing's great, but it's kind of extending the time it takes for you to lose, you know? But the fact that Aaron is so strong, aside from the healing is like the cherry on the top, right? You get the healing, and you get a board, and you get the extra evolution orb, and you get good stats on that card.
And yeah, and it has an enhance ability, so it's more versatile. You can play it on turn 6 if you really want to just like try to gain some tempo, get like a strong follower on the board with an evolve point, or you can play it on 8 and get that extra evolve point.
Well, I feel like if that's kind of a theme of Tempest of the Gods, right? Sybil is very similar in the sense that it kind of like, you play the card and it just starts doing stuff for you.
Yeah, the cards definitely fulfill very similar roles, but in different classes and different archetypes as well.
Well, Dragon Forest making it through. No Shadow in there.
No Shadow and no Sword either. I was convinced that because of the nerfs and Sword was already in such a good place. It's such a perfect archetype. Luminous Mage and Albert Craft. It's perfect. It's a perfect archetype. I mean, it's absolutely massive. Yeah. Cool.
You say that?
And we haven't even seen it yet. I'm sure there's gonna be some players utilizing that deck.
What do you think the 2 decks these next 2 players are running is gonna be? Sword Shadow, Blood Shadow.
We could see Dragon Haven is a combination that we've seen take first place in the JCG. Because Haven, when you tech right, like Igni said, it's great against Shadowcraft. It's almost a counter.
Yeah, you have some very good AoE clear, and you have consistent clear options on each play point turn. Which can really help. I feel like it's kind of very similar to Bloodcraft in the sense that it requires a kind of pristine draw, a pristine curve to play out that way-ish. Ish. But we'll see. Here we go.
Oh, it's going to be EXG with the sword
So what
deck.
did I say? Sword Shadow? Oh, well, I already failed on one.
Hey, we got the sword deck, though.
Yeah. Again, probably another Daria here. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're
probably.
right, yeah.
I mean, I can see maybe a Levi. Yeah, it's probably Daria.
I think Daria is the safe assumption. And what a curve from Omega. He's got the Floral Fencer, Mage, and Fangblade Slayer. Really high-cost cards. He just came into the Lancer, so it's a good 2-drop, but not a 1-drop for Omega, not a Quick Blader, for example.
Let's see a little bit of card draw from Keishi. We talked about issues that RuneCraft has when they don't kind of hit their important cards here, and not the best. He's got the Levi Piercing Rune synergy there, so that's going to really help as Keishi enters kind of the flat 5 play point area.
But he was forced to play the Emi for a 3 cost just on turn 2, getting a 2/2 drop. And Omega,
he's starting to take damage.
He's going to go for face damage.
Yep. Face is a place when we're in a race. Swordcraft. Dang, I can't think of another
full
rank.
4-cost piercing rune. That does not feel great. He's going to clear off the board for sure and get 2 face damage. That's really nice. But there's a Floral Fencer coming out possibly this turn for Omega, getting another massive board that Keisha's going to have to get through. And now that Keisha has the Evolve Orb now, but he doesn't have the Piercing Rune to really gain the full effect from that card with the turn 5 Time Worn Mage Levi combo. Being able to evolve the Levi, get a 4/4 follower, and then Piercing Rune, and then Crimson Sorcery on that, all on the same turn. That's an absolutely massive combo. And it is a really awkward spot. He's not going to be able to take out the Floral Fencer. Doesn't really want to spend the Crimson Sorcery. It's he still has 3 play points left to spend, but with Craig in his hand and two other Levi's and only 2 Evolve Orbs, 1 Evolve Orb remaining, he's in a real difficult spot with his hand. We'll see what choices he makes to really come out on top of this matchup.
Yeah.
If he's able to clinch victory.
Floor Fencer is really showing its strength, being at kind of 5 defense there. I feel like people have just been taking so many cards that are turn 4, turn 5 strong enough to push through that. But that really goes to show like how strange that situation can be for Floral Fencer. And now the situation is played out where Omega is left with 2 cards on board. He could easily choose to evolve Knight. He chooses to evolve the Mage here for some clean board clear, but could have evolved the Knight for some really good face damage. But now the board state is looking excellent for Omega.
Right, if he evolved the Knight, could have got more face damage, and but he wouldn't have been able. The Knight would have died if he traded into Craig there. And so now he's got a full 4 followers on his board, and there's no AOE clear in the hand of Keisha. He's got a Crimson Sorcery that's going to be able to take out the Mage, a Blade Mage, and another Levi as well. It's just like a 2/2 drop. He doesn't have any more Evolve Orbs left.
And it's tough because you're committing these cards, but they're definitely cards that are not going to be spell boosted by a future Daria, right?
Right. But we've reached the stage in the game. The game is stabilizing. I mean, I definitely think Omega has the advantage, especially with
Oh
Weedus
god,
this
there's
turn.
so
Oh
much
my
potential
gosh.
damage on the board here.
So much damage. And even if Keisha comes into a Daria now, it's gonna be too late.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
There's 9 health, so
9 health and
definitely
insight.
a
He's
situation.
gonna have an opportunity to draw here, and also spell boost. And there's only 1 spell remaining in his hand. That's Demonic Strike, the card that you really want to have just to finish off an opponent. He's gonna use it to take out the Pirate.
He's gonna take 6 damage currently with what he has in hand. Got 4, 6. Luminous Mage will
Luminous
give the
Mage.
free evolve. Actually, if Luminous Mage comes in, he'll still get 6 damage if he evolves Knight. Because each will get +1.
I have a feeling he is gonna evolve the Mage and trade it into Olger. Keeping a full
Yeah.
4 board of followers. He's got the advantage. He knows it. He's playing very safe. He's playing correctly.
Yeah. The big tragedy here is what option could Keishi draw that would even win this situation? You know, he's way too low on health. He has no wards and board. That's typically something that Daria Rune and even D-Shift Rune just don't run, right? And against Swordcraft, when you have so many cards that can swing face at a board state that is so strong, ward and clear is really the only way to get through that. And even if he did, you're heading into the turns where Fangblade Slayer starts coming out. And he just still hits you to the
real
face.
nasty. The name of that game was board space.
I want to see a Runecraft game where they actually draw their win condition. Please. Please. Can we please see that?
Praying up to the gods.
Yeah.
Can we see this, please?
Isabel's just mad that we ignored her for 7, 8 weeks.
Yeah, she's taking her vengeance on us.
Yeah.
Hell hath no fury.
Yeah, it was like, now you want to play with me.
But Keisha could elect to stay with his Runecraft deck this turn. We'll see what they decide to do.
Oh, there it is.
And Omega's got a Forestcraft deck as well.
Sword Forest. We're living in Rage of Bahamut now.
Time for me to prove
This is literally Runecraft against Sword Forest. This is Rage of Bahamut.
Feels good. Living back in the day.
Except
Back
now
in
we
retro times.
got Grimner now.
Retro times was 3 months ago. Apparently.
Retro times. Yeah. Hey, time scale is all relative, right? 3 months ago
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
you're right. It's all relative.
what is it, like a little less than a quarter of the game's the game is like a year old or so?
Or so.
About. Hey, he's got Jungle Warden.
And what a quiet game so far. There hasn't been a card play that's Magic Missile right on turn 2 for Keisha.
Tough situation for Omega. Not only are you going first, but you don't have the early drop to take advantage of it.
Right, and there's
and you don't
Daria.
have an Ancient Elf.
Yeah, and there's Daria, and he was able to spell boost 2 Ultras at the same time. That's absolutely massive. And he's got another Magic Missile, Emilu, and Conjure Golem as well.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
And more card draw.
Those spell boosts. Oh, another insight. This spell boost is going to get out of hand really fast.
Oh, he's got Clarky.
This time, baby.
Larky next turn, with an Evolve next turn, and well, he won't be able to Piercing Rune. It'll be 1 cost too shy.
Nothing.
Omega, Sylvan Justice, using that card, trying to get the options in hand he needs for those Roach combos later on in the game.
Yeah, Forestcraft just it doesn't look like it has a good early game. And against a Runecraft deck, that can be really tough. Do you expect yourself to live to turn 10, right? Is that Jungle Warden swing going to come into effect? Really, and you have no Roach, you have 2 bounces, so that really puts a lot of damage in your hand, but you have no way to really kind of control this board situation as it stands. Will of the Forest is coming up next turn, and you're going to do 6 damage with it.
Right.
There's 12 health on board.
It's a possibility that Will the Forest, well, he's going to go with the Fina. Trying to get a strong follower on board as well as a Goblin Mage. I think
He's
that's
probably going to throw the Goblin Mage.
Yeah, didn't want to take the risk of the Will of the Forest. It could have destroyed 1 follower, it could have destroyed 2, but you know that's a risk that I don't think Omega was willing to take in that situation. But there's still a massive amount of tempo in Kaisha's favor. He started his turn and he's already got 2 followers on his side of the field and a Daria.
Oh, a second Daria actually kind of
rearing
sucks.
to go. Yeah, having a second Daria, that's a little bad.
Yeah. But he'll be able to push Daria down to 2 cost here. He won't be able to play it. Okay, he's just going to throw away the rest of the cards. I'm actually fine with that.
Giving away 3 cards for another 5 cards.
Yeah, that's fine. And they weren't 3 cards that were like Oglers or anything like that, you know?
Right.
Now he's got a 1-cost Blade Mage.
And this is already a massive board on the side of Kaisha. Pretty full board as well. He's got the Levi for the last Evolve Orb he has, so he's going to be able to really utilize that to full effect. Another Elf Child Maid. That card could come in very much handy when the Roach combos come in.
Spend 5 to do 7 damage. There's 10 health on board, so the Elf Child will not be enough to finish it out. He has in total 8 damage for direct damage.
Right.
If it happens to be the Ogler that's remaining, there's a high chance that the Daria will die. If it's just the Ogler remaining, then he takes 3 to 6 damage to face, 8 damage to face.
Will of the Force
He will survive 1 extra turn. Oh god, I think he's dead. He needs to evolve.
Yeah, he needs to.
Yep, he needs to evolve to clear it.
Right, it's going to clear the board.
That's his second evolve point.
And there's still 1 Evolve point remaining for Kaisha and a Levi in hand. I think it's going to come in absolutely crucial. Getting the Crimson Sorcery in hand, spell boosting your followers even more with that Blade Mage. Blade Mage is already down to 0 cost though, and there's a Craig and a Fate's Hand as well. So Craig not really getting its full effect here. Not being able to spell boost anything in the Craig, and I want to say Kyle, but I know it's not Kyle. Craig, Kyle, Clark.
Yeah.
It's just like back in the old days.
Crimson Sorcery in the Fate's Hand? No, he can't do it 'cause he got 3 points.
Atone with your lifeblood.
Blade Mage is 0 cost. Might as well get it on the board for that face damage.
Okay, he's saving the Crimson Sorcery to swing another turn, and I think that's smart.
Right. But Omega knows it's in his hand.
He could
knows it
ward
could
up.
be coming.
If he doesn't have an Evolution Orb, so he's gonna roll dice. He needs to play Roach to live, I think.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Just
Got a
having that
Fairy Circle.
Storm for board clear, I think is gonna very crucial.
Yeah, that's a big loss. If he had a second Roach in hand, it would actually be fairly okay. He's gonna bounce, or he's gonna play the second Elf Child here.
Right, he's going to keep his
Full
Grimnir,
clear.
he's going to keep his Jungle Warden.
Time to
Definitely,
head home.
definitely massive cards, but there's 20 health for Kaisha and only 6 health for Omega. Kaisha's really been laying on the pressure this game. We'll see what this draw is. It could come in absolutely crucial. Another Insight, so he's going to be able to draw another card this turn and also spell boost the Fate's Hand, Magic Missile.
He's got 4 damage here in spells. He didn't draw another spell, so. Fate's Hand. Still
oh my
no.
gosh, another Clark and a Craig.
He's got a lot of spell boosting cards,
Right.
not a lot of spell boost cards.
Right.
He passes turn to Forest, and the Fina is kind of a not so great card in this scenario.
Right, without an Evolve Orb, not being able to get that Goblin Mage.
I wonder if he's going to opt to spend the Nature's Guidance to draw again. The big difficulty is you really, really, really would have liked to have Aaron by now. The Princess Mage.
Again, it's kind of in the same boat as Fina.
Yep, just trying to minimize damage right here. Forestcraft is desperately trying to draw into options. What do you do here? Ward up. He doesn't want to get stormed down.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure how many Blade Mages has come through his hand, but if that third Daria ends up being picked up, it's entirely possible that the Daria can be played, and then some
my
kind
gosh.
of... Oh, God. He's going to boost that thing up, and it's going to be a huge board.
No way.
It's knowledge I seek.
The big issue, I think, is that you need to focus on wiping the board because, well, we know in hand Omega doesn't have the Nature's Guidance anymore and no Roach in sight. But for Keishi's purposes, maybe he's leaning on, okay, you have 3 cards in hand. Oh, the Aaron.
Right. And next turn, he's going to be able to play the Daria for free after playing the Clark. It's not turn 10 yet. Jungle Warden's still not an option.
You're an intruder.
Aaron, though, definitely giving him what he needs, the healing and the extra orb for a little bit more of tempo. We'll see what the followers are going to be in this Daria pickup for Kaisha.
Aaron-
That's going to be crucial.
Aaron is tough enough to kind of put
This ends here.
Keishi in a tough spot. Going to choose to use the Elf Child and maybe swing into the 2-2. Or rather, the 2-3. There's no
2-3,
reason
yeah.
to swing into the 2-2.
It's knowledge I seek.
But still, it's kind of an awkward spot where you can't quite just kill the Aaron outright.
Right. Yeah, you don't
We'll see
have
what
an
he draws. He gets a
Evolve
bunch of Angelic Snipes, and that might actually make
Oh,
all the
wow.
difference. He's going to be able to play the Blade Mage, swing on the Aaron, and then spell it out.
Demonic Strike as well. That 3
Yeah.
damage just right out of your hand is cannot be understated. That's huge. And
That's
he
a
spent the
big
Crimson,
draw.
Yeah, he spent the Crimson Sorcery on the Grimnir.
Yeah.
On 2 turns ago.
Next turn is Jungle Warden turn, so that's going to be double ward. That makes it actually really tough for Keishi to swing through, but he has so much board control right now and could use spells to kind of clear that out. I have to
Right.
imagine you're Jungle Warding here. The fact that every single card is going to have 4 damage on it makes clearing out Daria tough. So 3 cards down here, he's going to have 7 damage in hand plus a 4 from the Demonic Strike here and the Blade Mage.
Nothing.
But still, no follower with 5 attack. Not going to be able to take out that Daria.
A second Blade Mage here.
And yeah, those wards are going to be huge with the hand
I
that Kaisha
think-
has. It's going to be so difficult to deal with that. The Jungle Wardens each with 3 defense and Aaron with 4.
Couldn't swing it.
He still has Craig for another 2 spell boosts.
Swing it. Atone with your life
Can't really
blood.
do much.
Right.
He's going to get 2 damage to face at most if he chooses to throw his Storm here.
Right.
But there needs to be a strong card draw for Omega because he has no Storm
Atone with your life
capability. Needs to be a ward, it needs to be a heal.
Aaron,
Oh
nice.
my gosh!
Not bad at all. Definitely the card that Omega wanted to get in his hand that turn with 2 Finas.
And I
a
think he
Princess
might
Mage.
just choose to swing on one of the 2-2s here. It would be a
Right.
gamble,
Uh-huh.
but then it forces the
Get out of my
kind of
sight.
6 health left. You still need to commit 2 cards. He's going to play it safe.
And with 3 defense, both of those followers can't clear up. Oh, a Piercing Rune.
God, that was really good on his part to swing against the Daria. That piercing or top deck
Yeah, you're right.
would have been devastating. And the
Oh, a Grimnir,
Grimnir,
wow.
he keeps drawing into these options
Great option. Still,
right at the
Grimnir's-
final hour.
Yeah, Grimnir's great on turn 10, does that 4 damage, but there wasn't a huge board for Kaisha. And Kaisha's was at 19 health.
We're in this period, though. Once you see Runecraft in this situation where they're just top decking, they are so weak. It's a
Right.
combo deck in the sense that you really want cards in hand to spell boost, and you have no cards in hand to spell boost, you're dead in the water. Now you can bounce your Grimner here
Oh my gosh.
and get that play point again,
Nimble and cute to boot.
or get that enhance effect again.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely massive.
Cute to boot.
Whether he chooses to or not, looks like he's just going to play out his play points.
Just getting those followers on board.
Face hand, I mean, that'll help because that gives more than one card. So important for Runecraft to have that.
Yep.
Oh my.
No! Unbelievable!
Next turn is lethal.
Mhm.
Can he lethal here?
He's-
4, 1, 5, 9. No.
Forest is crying for help.
Yeah, he could have Nature's Guidance on the Grimner. That would have been an extra 4 damage.
Oh, does he have it if he bounce Roach? Yep. He's got 4 damage here. Yep. I was thinking bounce Princess Mage, but yeah. Roach
Gotcha.
bounce Roach. There it is. Wow.
Man, another 2-0.
9, 10, like, since play point 9, drawing that first Aaron just started slowly turning things around.
Right.
And this was a tragic loss for Runecraft in this scenario. The early game was so rough for the Forestcraft player. And then drawing the Aaron, giving the heal and the evolution orb to start contesting the board. And just the little bit of health points it needed to not get swung on by face, or swung face. And then getting the second Aaron, and then the Grimner, and then the Roach. Like, there is no other situation where you would imagine drawing that
Right.
in a
How
row.
spectacular the Forest was able to come back in this matchup. Daria came in the hand of Kaisha so early. And he was able to utilize it to his most effect.
He got his
Omega
2
down to low
Darias.
health. He's got his he got 2 Darias in his hand as well.
Mhm.
But I mean, even still, 1 Daria, he was able to just like fill up that board and get a lot of pressure on the board. But it wasn't enough. The Forestcraft was able to take it, and the Jungle Warden was really tough to handle for Runecraft, especially when there's so few options in hand. Those wards just kept on warding.
Yeah. And I think we talk about all these conditions for Runecraft, and one of the other conditions that can really hurt it is if you draw 2 of your Darias, right? Which we
Right.
saw there. He
Yeah.
basically had to kill off one of his Darias. Let's take a look at the bracket to see what the situation of these games are. So Unlucker is going to face off against Omega, who will move on to 2 O's. And we'll watch whether Sleet can move on against Moku, or whether it'll be Moku who will move on.
And it looks like the 7th has advanced against Bloody Lust to take the first spot in the second bracket of the
EXG's
semifinals.
doing it again.
EXG is doing work, man. They're showing up.
On either side of the bracket in the semifinals, there's a possibility for one of the tournament winners to move on to the finals here.
Right.
And we'll just have to see which side it might be,
It
whether
could
it's
be,
Shadow Nexus or
two
EXG.
different brackets of Shadow Nexus versus EXG, and then the second bracket also Shadow Nexus versus EXG. Man, this could be a team battle for the ages right
Yeah.
here in the eighth week.
The 8th week for sure. Make sure to follow our Twitter channel at WatchNGE. We post news updates there. We post cool, interesting things. We might post a lot of interesting things about MomoCon there. Maybe.
Maybe. You gotta go there to find out.
So make sure to go to @WatchNG. Also, take part in our giveaway. Twitch panels will give the information. 3,500 vials to be won. A legendary card may be crafted from those vials, or you could craft just a ton of bronze cards if you want.
Just so many bronze cards. Oh my gosh.
Somebody should record a video of them taking those vials and just crafting bronze cards.
Oh my gosh. I would like rend my clothes if I saw that. Just, oh my god, what are you doing?
It's a choice. It's a way of life
You
that
had
you choose.
an opportunity to get a pot of gold and you chose a pot of soup. Oh my gosh.
Hey, soup is for the soul. Gold is for
I mean, how many bowls of soup could you buy with a bowl of gold, though? So many bowls of soup.
soup
I
is
think,
pretty good.
I think soup is great. If it's good soup, like chicken noodle soup, so good. But a
Mm.
bar of gold, it's like
Yeah.
what, like $200,000? $250K? It's a lot of soup. That's a lot of chicken noodle soup.
That's true. That's true. You're a forward thinker. You're a thinking man here. Hey, you know who else is forward thinking?
Hmm.
These competitors at the Shadowverse Open.
Right?
We're about to head into the semifinals, and it's looking like EXG and Shadow Nexus are going to be going head to head.
What's so interesting is that we have Shadowcraft. Where is it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Yeah,
It's
I
crazy.
think people were like glad that they didn't need to play Shadowcraft anymore. So it's like, all right, you
It
know,
kind of overstayed its welcome.
let's
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel you.
I
But
think
I thought that it was going to be players sticking with the decks that tried to maybe changing it a little bit, but like the decks that we've seen so often, I'm surprised that players are so willing to just completely try new decks
Mhm.
right out of the gate.
I agree.
It's crazy.
I agree.
And
I think
Forcecraft really showing up too.
we've seen less of blood. We've seen less of sword, which is interesting to me. Dragon still, despite the fact that I feel like Dragon was the one that got hit the worst,
Right.
we still saw a few Dragoncraft decks rolling through.
Yeah.
And Runecraft, a lot of people really seem to be wanting Daria to work out.
Yeah. It seems like
But there's so many conditions. I feel like Daria is such a conditional, like, gotta draw your Daria, gotta draw your spell boost, but don't draw your second Daria. Don't draw too many of your
Right.
spell boosted cards early on, or else you'll not have enough spell boost to make the Daria work. It's just such a headache.
I mean, going off on that, what the Zell combo has been turned into.
Mhm.
It used to be Sahagwheel, Zell, Bahamut for 13 damage right to face. Now, if you want to pull that off, you need the Chaos Rider or the
Mhm.
Wiring Cavalier, so that's an extra card. So the Dragoncraft archetype has now been moved to like a 4-card, possibly like a 4-card combo.
Mhm.
And Daria has been sitting on like 4-card, 5-card combos for like the longest time where you need that perfect draw. And we haven't seen Dragoncraft because of that change. Oh, I don't want to do like a 4-card combo. But
Mhm.
with Daria has been doing that for a while, but we're still seeing Daria. I find
Mhm.
that really interesting.
Yeah, certainly, and that's a great point. That's a very interesting kind of look at the situation. I think that it feels just a little bit too clunky to use Zell because there are better things I could use your Evolution Orb on, right? That give
I think
more
so very
immediate
much, yeah.
effect.
Igni brought it up in the pre-show, but it's the fact that you no longer have a good 2-drop
Mhm.
to really gain that tempo. Because now if you want to have 3 Zells, you need to have 3 Zells.
Mhm.
And you also need to have 3 2-drops. Before they were one and the same. Now that's more dilution of the deck.
Mhm.
And so I think the Dragoncraft archetype is going to have to look to other options to really find that win condition.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. You know what I just realized?
Hmm.
I haven't picked up my pen.
Yeah, it's still on the ground. You dropped it. It like flew.
I am really tempted to just lean down there and pick it up right now, but I think some people are going to get mad at me if I do.
Probably.
Can I
Me
please, please, can I pick up my pen?
Tweet at him.
Tweet at me. Am I allowed to pick up my pen?
Yeah.
Please. The poor thing is on the floor.
It's like around the corner of the desk,
Mm.
though. Like you'd have to like take off the headset and like reach around. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like you
uh,
can do whatever you want. Like it's America, man. It's a free country.
Is that true?
I mean, sure.
I'm not well versed in the ways of America. You know, I just live here.
I mean, that's.
I just live here.
I don't have a response to that.
I'm a waste of air. I literally just breathe air. That's what I do. I
You
just
know,
take up
okay,
space.
For
and I
every
breathe air.
mean thing, you have to say one nice thing about yourself. That's the rule.
I haven't yet left this world.
Oh, that's it's kind of a nice thing. Not what I was expecting. But you know what we are expecting to go in this next round of 8 game between Moku and Shadow Nexus. Sleet
I would come
Weir's-
back as a skeleton. Then
Yeah.
I would be dancing.
Oh
A
my
dancing
gosh, yeah,
skeleton.
Dancing skeleton. I think we all come back to skeletons
Mhm.
because we all turn into skeletons.
We're all little Prince Catacombs of our own.
This broadcast just turned really nihilistic, and
Face.
I'm okay with that.
There, we have some face sword. At least the starting cards. I mean, I feel like the Lyriel and the Tsubaki are kind of not getting with the party, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still pretty good cards, and we still have the Novice Trooper here.
Right. And there wasn't really a 1-drop. Moku came into his 1-drop the Skull Beast on turn 2. He had to play the Lyriel.
Look, this guy invested into Catacomb even after he started upselling.
He's giving it
He's
a
a true
chance.
fan.
He's a true fan, man.
He's a true fan
Oh,
of
yeah.
the Prince Catacomb
Yeah.
kind of hype.
To him, Catacomb did not sell out. He did not
Yeah.
raise his price.
Or maybe he's kind of like
he's an
the,
artist.
the early hipster, right? He's nobody's gonna play Catacomb anymore, but I'm gonna play Catacomb.
I'm gonna be different.
Yeah.
He's been playing Catacomb this whole time,
He's got Reaper Catacomb.
just like all of us.
Yeah.
He does. He's got Reaper Catacomb or Reaper Skullbeast Catacomb. I think that might be the play Lurching Corpse as well. But I like Attendant of Night as a 3-drop and then followed up by Catacomb on turn 4. That way, when that Attendant of Night finally goes down, you get the Skeleton and you get the Lich as well. And in a matchup against Swordcraft where there's no banishing capabilities, that Attendant of Night is going to go down sometime. It's going to be able to trade into a ward, and it's going to have to get a massive effect. But he's going to play the Reaper and the Skullbeast, possibly followed up by maybe a Lurching Corpse Soul Conversion next turn as well for a 3-play, being able to destroy your own follower, destroy one of theirs. But with the board that Sleet has of those 3 low-cost followers, a Lurching Corpse with that perfect 2-card combo in hand, you definitely want to save it when there's just a Fangblade Slayer or there's just an Albert on hand, guaranteeing that you get to take out one massive follow.
Here we are. We're on turn 4. This is a prophesized. Oh God,
Oh,
Orthrus drank one too many beers last night. Couldn't quite hit either one of the two
Couldn't quite
twos.
hit.
Definitely did not hit the ward. Was actually the farthest from the ward.
Yeah, too far away.
Come on, Orthrus. What
Now
is
the-
that?
And now the Lariel is going to be able to take out the Shadow Reaper. But what's interesting about this setup right here is he's not able to evolve the Lariel Archer. He's got the Floor Fencer, so I don't think he's concerned about wasting his Evolve Orbs. But when Lariel Archer survives one turn, it's so nice when you get to evolve it and then go for 5 damage for face. If you can build up that
Oh.
tempo.
He let it rock. Oh, double lurching core. I feel like looking to lurching.
Yep, we're seeing the effects of this nerf on Catacomb. He could play. He
Yeah.
could have played Catacomb this turn right now.
He could have
And
had
then evolved.
Catacomb, yeah, way before. Then the Orthrus would have come down still,
But
and
now
his
as a
board state would
forecast,
be
it's-
entirely different.
Yeah, it's not an option at this turn. It's real difficult for the Shadow player to find a foothold in this game.
So he wants to try to swing. Okay, he's
Mm.
rolling the.
You know, it could have been worse.
Yeah,
Could have been the Orthrus. You know.
yeah.
So not
it
bad.
took
You
down.
know,
It
four-
took down one of the 2 defense
Right,
followers. Is
right,
a
right.
thing, right?
So there was a 25% chance it would have taken out the 1/1. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And a 25% chance it would have taken out the big
Oh,
one, but he was
Alwita's
still
is
able
so
to take
strong
out the Floor
here.
Fencer. Oh, such a good card. But it just gives
Alwita's-
a ward for the Lurching Corpse to attack into, but with so many weak
Yeah.
followers, like Ed
He'll
said,
be fine.
yeah.
Doing 6
He's
damage
fine.
here is great because then you're setting up a situation where Albert Evolve will end it.
Yeah, and you can evolve the Literal Archer for 5 damage right on this turn. Next turn, it's going to be, this game could be over.
These are killing me.
Yep.
Yeah, even with Cerberus, Attendant of Night, Prince Catacomb. Yeah.
Oh God, that's so helpful.
Man,
You need
so
a
many
ward.
followers
Huh!
on the board for Sleet. Immortal Thane.
He's dead.
One turn too late. Yeah, this
Yep.
is going to be game.
Yep. He needed some like Death's Breath here.
Yeah, Shadow Nexus Sleet.
Blimey.
Wow.
Taking this
hey,
game 1.
It seems like Shadowcraft, all the Shadowcraft followers are on low morale right now. Lurching Corpse was kind of, like, eh.
Kind of in limbo, you could
Yeah.
say.
And Orthrus was also kind of not feeling it,
Mm.
Needed to change sensitivities a little bit.
Right. Yeah,
Fix the
Swordcraft.
FPS, change resolution,
Swordcraft was already in such an even matchup. You
Mhm.
could say an even matchup. Ector is still so strong, and
Yeah.
we didn't get a chance to see Ector this game because of how aggressive Sword was being.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to an important talking point about the matchup now of how Ector is still just as strong. One of the strongest cards in the game. But if Sword's able to close out the game before turn 7, on
Mhm.
turn 6, before Ector is even an option, then you got to give it to Sword, man, 100% of the time.
I think that was a very convincing game, right? You get into a situation where your Catacomb is 1 turn too late, and all of a sudden you're behind that step that Swordcraft has on you, especially when you're getting your butt beat, right, by like the Katana Unsheathed, and then the Novice Trooper, and there's the Veteran Lancer, like getting in your face. Like
Mhm.
when you step left, he steps right, or
And
she steps.
Alwita's it
yeah.
seems like such a monster. It's already a great card, but it's like a
Mhm.
monster in this matchup.
Attack, then defense, right?
Right.
Is Alwita's
Both
in a
at the
nutshell.
same time.
And it's like, when you think about the storm, a 3 damage storm is huge, right?
It's huge.
It's
as
basically
much as
Albert.
It's basically Albert.
It's
with a ward.
Albert with the stat points shifted towards the pirate for defense, right?
Interesting. Very interesting. And 2 followers instead of 1. So
Mhm.
if there's a Lurching Corpse or an Orthrus, it's got to take that chance.
For the cheap cost of just 1 play point more, you too can have your own pseudo Albert, or maybe just even better than him.
Pseudo Albert. You get a Viking and a pirate.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That sounds like such a scam, right? Like Viking and pirate,
trying
like
to
just
sell this on
just try to pull all the cool like ninjas too.
on an
Vikings,
infomercial,
pirates,
yeah.
and ninjas, and you're.
There's Vikings, and
Yeah.
samurai.
Yeah.
Come on. It's gonna be fun, man.
It's really cool.
We're seeing Moku on his blood deck. He's got Blood Moon and Belphegor. What an interesting combination. I mean, it makes absolute sense. I love seeing this archetype of Blood Moon on turn 3 and then Belphegor on turn 4.
Snakes?
Completely
No, it's
mitigating
not
the
snakes.
damage you
It's
would have
probably
turned.
not
It's probably
snakes.
not snakes.
Probably not snakes. Damn it.
I mean, it could be. It could be. with Blood Moon, I mean,
There's a lot of potential damage here, especially
this-
if that Blood Moon comes down.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very good set of cards to have in hand.
and when the Shadow player has only gotten one follower on the board, you're not losing that much by playing an Amulet on turn 3.
Yeah.
It's just an extra 2 damage to face.
Every time Blood Moon is played, I just think of all those situations like in Evangelion, you know, when they activate Beast Mode or like, you know, they look really cool. There's this animation and like Vengeance activated and they like look, they have like glowing eyes and stuff.
And he was able to use the Diabolic Drain for just 1 cost because of the Blood Moon, getting massive effect from this Amulet for the next 3 turns, for the next 2 turns when it counts down.
All right, Sleet, show me your moves. How do you survive against this? You need to build some shadows, but there's not really fantastic cards to do so.
Right, and he had a great turn for Baphomet that
Oh
turn as
God,
well.
it's snakes!
It's
snakes!
Man. Next turn that's going to be coming out.
Oh my God, it's happening!
Is
It's happening! Snakes are happening!
It's happening, man.
What is it going to be? Okay, so next turn is going to play snakes. So Sleet will
Right.
be on play point 6. He can't even play Ector.
Oh my goodness.
How is he going to... He has no...
And even with Hector, the zombies are only going to be with 4 attack. They're not going to be able to take out the snakes, and he's only got 6 shadows. That's only 2 zombies. Well, with Goblin Princess, he's going to be able to get 3 more shadows, which is another zombie.
I think he's
But
dead.
still. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I think Snake's coming down
Are we
here.
about
Just
to
swing
see
the Goblin.
Serpent win this game?
Why did you give him the ward?
He wanted to open his board. He wanted to get another Serpent.
Oh, you wouldn't have been able to kill it, but don't give him the ward. Oh my God.
But look at this board. Even if he does play the Goblin King, those Serpents have the exact amount of attack points to get through it. And he's still got Belphegor in his hand. He still has Dark General.
The Goblins do nothing. They do nothing.
They do absolutely nothing. Those poor little guys with their hats. They're so sad. They're not even gonna be able to scrape the surface of those snakes.
Their best lot in life is to provide service to the Shadow Reaper. They are literally having to feed themselves for the greater good here.
Yep.
They're doing a little bit of face damage.
So Blood Moon goes away now. He doesn't have Vengeance anymore.
Yeah.
But he's got Baphomet. He could evolve. Dark General, maybe Belphegor.
I would...
That takes you
scary
down
to play
10 health.
Belphegor.
Yeah, that's very scary.
Very scary to play
especially when
Belphegor.
you don't have Blood Moon.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, right? If you play Blood Moon Serpents, you end up in this situation where you only have 4 Serpents instead of 5.
Right.
But
Ooh, sparkly
Goblin Mage comes out. It's going to be another Baphomet. He's just going to play it.
It's another
And
snake.
evolve the Baphomet, and there's 15 damage to face here.
15 fat damage right to face, and you still have those snakes on board for the Shadowcry player to have to deal with next turn. There's Ector coming out next turn, but those zombies are only going to have 4 attack.
There's another Maelstrom Serpent.
Man, what a great combination that Moku was able to pull off. Sleet. I mean, if I were him, I'd be nervous, especially with a second
God.
snakes in hand as
There's
well.
so many snakes on this in this hand right now. Moko has all 3 of his snakes ready to go. This Shadow Reaper looks like a wimp compared to these snakes right now. It's 4-4. All right, you can kill one of them.
This head can't be taken.
And when one of the zombies dies, he'll have 5/5 for the Shadow Reaper being able to trade into another snake.
The big thing is he's going to be on play point 8, so he can actually play Belphegor Dark General. He doesn't have the Evolve Orb, so I think it'll just do 4.
Enough of your wretched
Yes,
faces.
but it depends what Sleet chooses to do here. If he clears the board, which I think is absolutely the right play to do, he knows he has to do that. And that's 5 damage with the Dark General. And there's your Storm options.
Reaper's getting pretty fat.
He's eating too many hamburgers, man.
Is
He's
he going to
getting
go
big.
face? No, he wants to keep
Clears
him out
the
of
board,
Vengeance,
yep.
and I think that's smart.
Very, very, very smart.
So Belphegor might be a kill yourself move here.
Without an Evolve
0
Orb,
out of
you're not
10
able
would
to
not
gain-
recommend.
yeah.
But he has
but he has-
14, 16 damage because Orthrus can be played next turn.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there's an option in hand that he can use to clear
Did
off
it
the
fail?
board. I think it failed.
It failed!
Oh my god.
Snakes! Snakes!
Yeah, there's Cerberus, there's Orthrus, and with an Evolve Orb, he's got the damage he needs.
He can't protect himself.
Those hamburgers that the Reaper were eating were paying
He
off,
needs
man.
to Belphegor Dark General. He can only throw his Dark General into the Ector. And then he'll take
Well, but there's Cerberus
13.
in hand. There's Cerberus in hand.
13, 17.
Uh-huh.
Can he
Have to-
play Cerberus? So Cerberus will give 4. Orthrus, double Orthrus would give 4.
Hmm.
Oh, well, now that he played Belphegor,
he-
he's just dead.
Yeah, he does have the Hungering Horde and
No, there was no way,
because
because if he any situation where he would have played Belphegor, he would have just died.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, if he had an Evolve Orb, if he was able to save one of those orbs, he could evolve it and trade it and clear the board completely. But, yeah, the Dark General, it's not able to take out the Reaper.
There's actually so much damage. Oh my god! The Reaper prevails!
Yep. One
The
way or
goblins
another,
gave their
it was gonna
lives.
happen, whether it was Orthrus or Cerberus. Shadow is still showing up.
Oh my god. Moku nearly got away with it!
He almost got eaten. Oh my gosh, with Blood Moon and then Snakes. You're right, he almost got away with it.
Yeah. There was no way to get out of that end turn. There was no way for him. Because the Evolution Orb as well, double Orthrus, and the Cerberus, there's so many different ways to approach it. And the Shadow Reaper just continuing to just curl.
Curl or just like eat those goblins up, man.
Mhm.
Eat them for dinner.
The goblins are the protein. He's just curling. You know?
It's a pretty good analogy.
The
actually.
workout and the diet is important. You're probably somewhat
I
well-versed.
no.
No?
No.
Okay.
I thought about it and I just realized I'm just gonna tell the truth. No.
You know, but that. Okay, here's a little thing about Sterling, right? I see him all the time. I think he thinks he's Spider-Man, because I see him just every time I walk into the office. He's just okay. We have a climbing wall.
We have
in
a
our
rock
office.
wall in the office, yeah.
So just to give so he's not
Just
actually
like-
just on the wall.
Don't be jealous. Just accept it. Our lives are better than yours.
No, it's really not.
Yeah. So I'm a climber. I love climbing, and having a rock wall just here
Yeah.
for me, it's a dream come true. I
Yeah.
cannot overstate that.
I walk into the office and Jeremiah's just there on the wall, just like
Hanging out, hanging
Just
upside
hanging
down,
out.
taking a nap.
yeah. I don't know. It's freaky. Let's take a look at the bracket. Let's take a look. Hey, we've got a bunch of 2-0s. And we have our semifinals filled out. Unlucker, Omega, Sleet, and the 7th. So it's going to be Shadow Nexus versus EXG.
Man,
Oh my god!
the Titans of the Ages coming together in this tournament for one battle.
Tell me-
Final battle.
Tell me about their points distribution. Right now.
Shadow Nexus is first,
Shadow Nexus is leading the charge.
mainly because of Noah as the first player, but I think
Oh,
EXG
Noah is Mana Surge. Noah is Mana
Oh yeah,
Surge.
what am I talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so Mana Surge would be first because
Mana Surge
Noah has
first.
been just
Right.
like
Yeah.
elbow dropping people,
Mhm.
you know.
But I
Choke
think
slamming.
I'm positive that EXG. What I think is interesting is that EXG has more players represented as a whole. They have more talent that have the points
Yes.
across a larger spectrum.
Mhm.
Which I mean, to me, that says a lot more about the quality of the players on the team when there's more players that have points as opposed to one player or two players that have a lot more points.
Mhm. Absolutely. Hey, we're gonna figure out what the result of this rivalry will be. I'm sorry, I just called it a rivalry. It's a rivalry now. It's a thing. Shadow Nexus versus
There's no two
EXG.
ways about it. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it's a thing now. We'll see what happens when the semifinals get underway. If you want to participate in the Shadowverse Open and stake your claim and make your name in this tournament, make sure to go to shadowverse.nge.io to figure out all that information and figure out how you can participate. And we'd be very happy to see you on broadcast and to be able to cast you. It'd be a lot of fun, I know, for me. I think for Sterling. I think.
Yeah,
Anyways.
I'm kidding. It makes my day.
We're going to take a little bit of a break. Jeremiah's going to go climb the wall for about 5 minutes, and when we come back, we're going to continue with the Shadowverse Open. I just walked out the studio.
Did some
and I
rock
had
climbing?
to-
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to look over my shoulder just because I felt something drop on my shoulder and I thought it was a snake.
That's horrifying.
I actually cried one time in kindergarten because somebody was like, "I see a snake," and it was like, "Oh, it's right over Arthur's head." I was like, "Oh my god!" and I cried and I had to run to my teacher and like
that's heartbreaking.
I had to hold her hand the rest of the trip. Otherwise, I
we
just-
were like on like a field trip, like walking
Yeah.
outside or something. Oh, it makes more
Yeah.
sense. I was like imagining.
Actually,
a
Ignatius
classroom.
would know this. It was to the botanical gardens, I think it was, in Singapore.
Oh no way.
Yeah,
Oh cool. I didn't know you went to school
Cool.
in Singapore.
yeah, I did.
Sweet.
Hey, speaking of Ignatius, joining us here again, Ignatius, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
How did you enjoy the quarterfinals? There were a lot of 2-0s. What to you stuck out the most?
A lot of 2 I like being right about sword.
Yes.
I like being right about. I like being right in general, just throughout life.
How
Feels really
often
good.
would you say you are correct in life?
I mean, not very often. Yeah, I got to take the
That's
victories.
a pretty
where
tough question
I can
to
find
ask.
them.
How often? No, you see, that's why the way that people answer that question is very telling of them as a person. You see,
How many
Ignatius
times
is
are
nice
you
and humble.
right? Give me a number.
Yeah, how many times
Yeah.
are you right? So whatever they construe as like an appropriate answer, like tells you a lot about them. How many
I'm
times
the
do you
most
think
humble
you're
person
right?
I know, so I'm really humble.
Hey, but you know what? Something that
How
is going
humble
to
are
happen.
you? Give us a number. Yeah.
How humble are you? Give us a number. Hey, here's something that is definitely happening that I know that I'm going to be right about. MomoCon is happening. It's going to happen from Thursday all the way until Sunday. 4 days of amazing events, including meeting Cygames, the Beast fighting game team, some Japanese cosplayers. You can get some selfies with them. Get some nice time with those cosplayers. And then the nightly free entry Shadowverse tournaments, win a Bell Ringer Angel alarm clock. Also, make sure to attend the Shadowverse Take-Two Arena show match on Friday at 1 p.m. MomoCon's main stage. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. Make sure to come down to the booth, attend all the events, because we are going to be just giving out card packs. We're going to give you swag, pens, pins, just
Yeah.
lots of cool stuff.
Yeah,
in
we're there
general.
for 5 days, but those 5 days are going to fly by. You do not want to miss it. Definitely write down that booth number and the dates and everything so you do not miss it. You don't want to miss a chance to hang out with Rainey and I. Play some Shadowverse. It's going to be a lot
could
of fun.
Probably miss hanging with me. I'd like to hang out with you, but you could probably skip me. Sterling, though, you should definitely hang out with Sterling. He's what I would call an interesting guy.
I'm really cool. Here's the thing. I'm a cool guy.
What I'm sad about is
He's
Ignatius won't be there.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard since I'm all the way here in Asia land.
Yeah,
Tough to. I wish I could go.
yeah.
I
That
wish
would
I
be
was a
cool.
community hero.
Be sweet.
I'd love to. I want to be a community hero too. You are a community
Put
hero.
me in the game, coach, please. I want to
Yeah, you're doing just fine, Ignatius. Love to send you to. Love to have you at one of these events sometime. I think that would be really fun.
Maybe
But
one
let's
day.
let's get back into the Shadowverse Open. Let's take a look at the brackets to see who are in the semifinals. Is this not crazy, Ignatius? Shadow Nexus versus EXT. Now, are you familiar with either of these clans, so to speak?
The person running like behind both of them. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Aya
mean,
Senpai
it's
and
kinda
Vindy. Correct.
yeah.
Yeah. Aya Senpai's going to be at MomoCon. Vindy is going to be chilling, run tournaments,
Yeah.
killing it.
I mean, if Indy was a community hero like Aya Senpai was, maybe he.
What?
Whoa.
Oh my God! Are you rooting for Shadow Nexus? Who do you think is going to take it?
I kid. I'm just jealous, man. I'm just jealous I'm not a community hero.
You're
Oh man,
hey.
life is hard.
We think you're a community. We think you're a hero.
We're all heroes inside our own hearts.
Well, you
mean,
ruined
Shadow
it.
Nexus
I don't want to
and-
be a hero
and-
now when you put it like that.
Shadow Nexus and EXG definitely have like, really talented players, so I'm really not super surprised that
Mhm.
these are the semis that we're heading into.
Mhm.
I'm glad to see that they're there.
Well, we can take a look at their head-to-head, kind of look at some of their decks, and talk about what they kind of have to offer. I believe for Unlucker, he's kind of in this situation where he's running this Forestcraft deck that has had great success for him across the tournament. Obviously, winning games, he was able to 2-0 in his quarterfinals, and it does look like it's excluding Wolf Bolt. So this is kind of the traditional Forestcraft deck, I think, that kind of solidified itself. The only thing that might be a little interesting here is, well, somewhat interesting, is that he has 2 copies of Dance of Death, which, it's just a kind of good card. The most interesting thing to me, Ignatius, and I would love if you could speak to this a little bit more, is the inclusion of Crystalia Tia, which I think normally in somewhere like Rage of Bahamut would be like a cool, I understand. But in terms of the gods, I feel like a lot of people have been wavering on kind of the popularity of Tia. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's also the thing that stuck out to me the most. Like, I'm really glad to see Tia coming back. Actually, it feels kind of nostalgic. It's been a while since I've seen her in any Forest deck. This sort of looks kind of old school. It's what I would expect to what I expected to see before the Tempest actually came out. Then turns out in the end that Tia was a little too slow before the nerfs came out. But seeing Tia back, yeah, it's really encouraging. I think just because the board flood from Shadow is a little less severe, you can use Tia to come back in the mid game a lot more reliably, and that's probably why it's being teched back in.
Well, we'll see how it fares against Omega's the decks here in the semifinals match. Let's take a look at Omega's version of the Forestcraft deck, and already you can see how there's a larger variety of cards. He's running a 1 of Lily in particular. I think he's got a 1 of Tia as well, and a 1 of Dance of Death. So he's kind of spreading out his options just a little more thin here. And that actually is kind of interesting to me, because Ignatius, you yourself mentioned how tournament players will tend to run one instance of cards much more often than kind of ladder decks as well. What do you make of this kind of decision?
Yeah, I mean, because in tournaments you have to tech against your competition, and there's so many things you can tech in to compete more effectively. So yeah, in tournaments they do tend to run more 1-ofs, which I know a lot of people aren't fans of on ladder. Like people in my community have expressed to me their displeasure of running 1-ofs of anything, which I think is incorrect. I think sometimes you do have to run a 1-of something. But in tournaments, yeah, it's definitely way more common, just because like I said, you only have to win once.
Yes.
So if you can draw the card that you need to win, you're all better for it.
Yeah.
So I'm not
That's
really
so true.
surprised.
You only have to win once.
You only win the yo.
I'm actually kind of surprised that Unlucker's list doesn't run more 1-ofs. It's really, really laddery. I think Unlucker's list, you can literally just take it to ladder and have a really good time.
Yeah.
Whereas with Omega's list, it's a little more tournament specific.
If you take it to ladder, are you going to have a bad time? Are you going to be left with tears?
He's had a good time so far.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be a lot less consistent. But Unlucker's list, yeah, definitely looks... I mean, I would bring this ladder.
So what it sounds like to me is Ignatius is leaning a little bit towards Shadow Nexus, taking the whole thing. So knowing these four, now here it is. I'm gonna put you at a tough spot, Ignatius. Knowing these 4 players here, Shadow Nexus, EXG, who do you think is going to make it to the finals?
The finals. I mean, are we only talking about their Forest list or
no? We're talking about just the players in general.
I think Omega has teched more specifically, and I'm expecting an Omega victory, but I could very well be wrong.
All right.
I'd really love to see a Saturn Nexus versus EXG game for the finals. I think that would be really fun.
So
just
maybe
because if they're both on the same team, it's kind of less dramatic, don't you think?
Yeah.
Bit,
So
yeah.
maybe
Whereas
it'll
if
be
they're
Omega
on
versus Sleep. Maybe it'll be Omega versus Sleep in the finals. Well, we'll find out very soon. The game is starting up shortly. Of course, Ignatius will join us for the second semifinal match to give us another quick rundown of those 2 players, and we'll kind of see how his prediction played out here between either Omega or Unlucker. And remember, both of these are very high-profile players, right? Unlucker got a 2nd place finish, only losing to his teammate, the 7th, who is also in the semifinals bracket this week, and Unlucker, a previous tournament winner. So this is going to be pretty high-stakes matches here.
Either way, there's 4 incredibly good players, great players that we are going to see battle it out in this tournament. And I think I'm with Igni. I would love to see a team battle in the finals rather than a team knockout.
Yeah.
Just kind of selfishly, like, the storyline is just so much more
The
interesting.
team battles are happening right now. In the semifinals, this is when the team battle happens. If 2 EXG members or 2 Shadow Nexus members move on to the semifinals, then they just literally outpunched their opponents, right?
Right. And that would also be very telling as far as which team would be out on head, whether it's Shadow Nexus or EXG.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Sleet and Omega. So that's kind of the situation that I think we've tricked him again, Sterling. So Ignatius, thanks we got him to give us predictions again. So we'll see you
got
again.
two.
We'll see you again before the next semifinals. We're heading into game now. Omega and Unlucker about to face off to see who has the opportunity to get the direct invite. Omega with the mulligan got the 2 to the 3 to the 4. And he's looking not bad. Now, the whole soul swing is not going to take effect if Dragon doesn't play any cards. But
No, Dragon
oh, he's got
has
the Mage Leader instead.
He's got the Dragon Oracle. Mage Leader's great.
Yeah.
It would have been a shame to not have a target for Whole Souled Swing on turn 2, especially when your Dragon opponent has the Dragon Oracle.
I'm so happy that we got him to get another prediction. We'll see how many more times he falls for it. I'm just never going to give a prediction. I'm just going to make him do all the predictions.
Just digging the hole deeper, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta love it. And he's got a Omega Man with the Whole Souled Swing and Itachi for a turn 3 play. He's also got the Novice Trooper as well. He just wants to get that on the field to take out that Unica and prevent Unlucker from healing next turn as well.
Hey, that hurts.
Gonna use the whole soul. And got 2 damage on board. Bloop blop. Mage Leader and Katana and Chi.
And this is already turn 5 for Unlucker.
Oh, interesting. He played the what?
The Scyther instead of the Sybil. Very interesting choice. Scyther is, I mean, it's a late game card. Is what it is against Storm when it's when you're in overflow, and it's a single card removal that you get. But I guess the little bit of tempo he wanted to save Sybil for next turn when he's going to be on overflow
To
and get the
guarantee
healing
that it can
effect.
heal.
To guarantee the healing.
It's not that crazy.
Not that crazy.
It's just you're so used to seeing Sybil.
You're right.
I mean, it's on the evolve turn as well for him, right? Because he ramped 1, so his
Right.
evolve isn't activated yet.
And so now he's got the evolved Sybil next turn. If he wants to use that and get the healing as well. Not a bad choice, but this is the first evolve orb for Omega.
Omega's throwing down the gauntlet. He says, "Let's race. Let's do it."
Could have done worse.
And there's 2 Alberts in the hand and the Dance of Death as well. If there's a Sybil, Dance of Death is going to be able to take that out right away.
And this is great for Unlucker because now he's going to be able to get the healing, guarantees that Sybil is there. And Omega, because of that board situation, committed to evolving the Katana and Sheath to try to get some extra damage, but now that evolution point is wiped off the field and the 3 damage is healed back up.
Right, and now it's a rather difficult spot. There's Luminous Mage that just came in hand. If he Alberts, goes for face, then that's still Sybil next turn. You've got to get rid of the Sybil. Dance of Death
is an option.
It
but
is.
that leaves just a 1/1 on the board.
Also, Geno is an option as well. Just rush 1 card, gets rid of the follower immediately, and you don't have to spend an Evolve Orb. Also with Luminous Mage, guess what? You don't have to spend an Evolve Orb. Didn't know if you knew that, but
Yeah, for those of you who are actually new to the broadcast and haven't seen this card, Luminous Mage provides you both the Luminous Mage itself, which is a 2/3, will come with the 2/1 Luminous Knight, and what the Luminous Mage does is, as long as it's alive, evolution orbs you spend on captain cards do not expend an evolution orb point. So it's basically a free evolve. You still can only evolve 1 per turn, but it does not cost you any of your orbs. So
Very
playing the Erd.
true. Playing the Erd on the Scyther after it attacked into the Mage with a board like Omega had with those low-cost followers. I guess it was what Unlucker thought was the most effective tactic to make to really gain tempo in his favor. And there's not an Alwidas in the hands for Omega either.
Now, in terms of kind of surviving, you definitely want to save Dance of Death for something like Bahamut.
Yeah, I think very, very good choice right there.
And I think that really this comes down to math of how many cards does Omega have to survive turns, right? Before he hits 9. And even once he hits 9, I don't think he's going to be stable enough to be able to play Albert to swing face with the enhanced effect.
Right.
It actually seems like a pretty tough spot. I think Omega is going to need to rely on a few top decks here. And now that the Ouroboros is down, basically always going to be threatening 8 damage to face turn after turn, while also doing 3 directed damage.
3 directed damage and also the heal. You're either forced to heal your own opponent, or you're risking taking 8 damage to face unless you can get a ward out.
The situation is certainly stacked against Omega. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it was definitely a great draw getting that Ouroboros because Unlucker only had Bahamut, Genesis Dragon, and Grimnir in his hand. Only 10 drop. He could have played Grimnir just for 3 on turn 9, but coming into that Ouroboros was definitely the draw that he wanted.
Well, so I think playing Dance of Death here is a mistake. I think he needs to try to figure out a way to do it with either the Mage Leader and the Knight, or with Lyriel, or something like that.
An Evolved Lyria would be able to take it out and then
Oh,
do 1
boy.
damage. So
Okay.
now I guess Unlucker's only able to heal for 1, and then 1 damage from the Knight, essentially putting him at the same place. But now there's a Grimnir, there's a Genesis Dragon, also a Rahab as well.
Yeah, Bahamut coming down.
Coming right down, gonna force Omega to get rid of it. And that was the Dance of Death that he used on Ouroboros. What a-
There's no risks that can be taken here, right?
Right.
Because either the Grimnir will wipe out and Bahamut can swing face, or the Genesis Dragon comes down, and
Right.
then you get one shot by the 7 and the 13.
Yeah, either way, Grimnir's gonna be able to clear the board, and Bahamut's gonna go for face next
It all
turn.
ends here.
Oh, God. the
Omega's gonna go
Grimnir
for
is
face
gonna-
right here, probably, but it's gonna be in vain, I'm afraid. I think Unlucker just earned a huge advantage with that Bahamut play right on turn 10, a few turns before the enhanced Albert was able to come down, and Omega's got 3 Alberts in hand.
Oh, God. The possibility of 15 or 19 damage here with the Evolve Orb. But he's just going to take the swing.
He knows he's got Ouroboros, he's got Genesis Dragon in hand. This game was down and out when that Bahamut came on the board.
I don't think there's an option that he can play. Yep. Unlucker will take the first game here, and Swordcraft, I really think, kind of got pushed out of options. I really kind of think, how would the game have played out differently if Unlucker had chosen to play the Sybil on curve? I really think that that was a good move from Unlucker in many ways, right?
Right.
Just the decisions that Omega made as a result of that play, I really think put him in a tough spot, right? He tried to go aggressive and he got his options stuffed out,
Right.
and he could never gain a foothold after that point.
Yeah, the 2 Dragoon Scythers with Bane were surprisingly really able to eke out a significant advantage in forms of tempo from the followers that that Omega had on board. And the Scythers were able to really gain a maximum advantage.
Omega versus Unlucker here, and Unlucker's up 1, now going to be using his Forestcraft deck. Sylvan Justice Ancient Elf is not comfortable for the start. You are going second, so there is a good chance that there will be a follower on board.
Right.
He's got some pretty hefty options in the late game. Roach plus Bounce is really strong. Having Arin in hand obviously is really strong. Having Ancient Elf early on is good, but you don't really have the followers to bounce.
Yeah, there is a Sylvan Justice, so Sylvan Justice is going to be able to take out the Maid Leader, get a Fairy in hand, but still, yeah, you're absolutely right. The Ancient Elf and another
the
one
bouncy
as well.
castles.
Definitely not going to be able to get a maximum advantage from the Ancient Elf on turn 3.
The most feel-bad Ancient Elf coming, I think, in
got
the
the-
near future.
It's basically a Grimnir. It's got the same stats, just not the enhanced 10, but there is an Elf Child
he
main.
has
He's
an option,
He's got
yeah.
the bounce as well.
Does he want to bounce early? And I think he does. Get the extra draw, get the board clear, have
Gets
the
the
Elf Child
Goblin Mage,
main on board.
And now he's got an option for Ancient Elf next turn with a Fairy as well, so we'll be able to bounce 2 followers up. But Ancient Elf, I mean, it's so powerful because you can have that massive ward on turn 3 if you get those followers out on turn 1 and turn 2 if your opponent isn't able to clear them, or if they're going aggro, for example. And on turn 4, there is a Geno in hand that's going to be able to trade wonderfully into the Elf Child May.
The big difficulty here is Unlucker really now needs to find some pace to be able to play out his followers so that he can get a beefy Ancient Elf. He's constantly having his board removed after the turn he plays him. And that's just buying time for Omega to get into the Albert territory, Alwida's territory, and who knows what else Omega is going to draw. He has the Maid Leader that's going to guarantee him another strong play, either a Luminous Mage or the Albert again.
Right.
The journey
And
continues.
with Wholesouled Swing, that's going to be able to take out the Ancient Elf this turn as well with 2 damage. Right to the Ancient Elf, and then getting a Knight as well, not to mention. And he can still Maid Leader, gaining tempo, gaining those commanders in hand. He's just got a Luminous Mage now. He's really got the tools he needs with Alwida's next turn as well.
I'm the force.
Yeah, and another Nature's Guidance as well.
Yeah.
Both players are sitting pretty. They're gathering the pieces of their puzzle.
I think this situation could get very dangerous here for Omega. He really needs to figure out a way to not have to constantly board clear. I think that being that Unlucker is 2 out of 3 Ancient Elves down, it's going to be tough. It's going to convince Unlucker, I think, to play the Aaron before he gets to the enhanced cost.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Just to gain that tempo and get a ward, because I mean we're getting to the stages where Fangblade Slayer could come out in 2 turns, for example. He might elect to save the Aaron.
We'll see what his draw is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a second Aaron, so I think this is even more compelling of a reason here.
Yeah, when you've got another one just laying in wait in your hand, you know you can play it on turn 8.
Get out of my sight.
Yeah, if Omega is able to get a Fangblade Slayer in his hand, that could be absolutely devastating, being able to chew through those wards. And with even an evolved Aaron only has 6 attack. Oh, Tsubaki. Oh, what a great option to get rid of that
sets up
massive
a
ward.
really dangerous situation.
Absolutely. Tsubaki is a formidable follower as well. 4-3. Man, being able to take out that Aaron. The
And we're
evolved
still-
one at that.
Okay, he's going to play Goblin Mage and probably Child Grimner, I would assume. It's got to ping the Pirate. And now
Nice.
he can take down 3 damage here.
Yeah, it's gotta feel pretty good. He's gonna
Oh, he's going to
Roach.
commit the Roach. And he might actually try to swing face here to set up a situation where he's constantly pushing the health level of his opponent down. And that's really what you want to do with Forestcraft, right? Because you want to get them within that health range that you can start swinging Jungle Wardens and really kind of...
Right, all the
risk
while
lethal.
you're healing yourself up with the Aarons and such, and even the Elf Queen.
You and
As
I,
well.
Knight. My sword brings hope.
There's a Grimnir left in the hand of Omega for the last 3 points. He's gonna go with the Lancer. We're in
This
the
is a tough
stages of the
board.
game. Yeah, you really want to save onto the Grimnirs for that turn 10, just 2 turns. Man, another 5 damage from that Tsubaki. The enhanced 1 attack points from the Luminous Mage.
If he plays the Aaron, it's actually kind of dangerous because then he only has 1 source of attack. And I think he will want some combination of Sylvan Justice and the Roach to get out of the situation.
He's got another Sylvan Justice. The Knight has got 1 defense, and the Mage and Tsubaki
He
have
knows
3
that
defense
the
each.
Enhanced Albert is coming next turn.
Right.
So he needs some kind of a ward.
But even if he does ward, he not clearing the board is going to be absolutely detrimental because
Yeah.
the followers that are already on board can clear into the Grimnir, and
He's
then
going to be able to do it with the Evolve Orb here.
I won't lose
And he
again.
needs to Evolve,
This ends here.
swing. So
very smart play from Unlucker. He knows the deck he's going up against, and he knows how to play against it effectively.
Take up my
so
shield.
Albert can do 5 damage here.
Right,
Oh god, and the double Grimnir is really going to make things tough.
definitely. Coming out 1 right after the other.
The Aaron healing, so he's already committed 2 or only 1 Aaron. Right, he's got the second one in hand, and he can draw a third one. And I think that's going to be so important to try to stay just 1 step ahead of the
The
Grimnir.
healing and the ward as well.
Yeah, the healing and the ward is going to be super important. And we'll see if Unlucker can draw into those options. But really, he's kind of just... Jungle Warden is kind of not a great card to hit into right now because you don't have the opportunity. You need the healing to survive the double Grimnir.
Ooh, a Dance of Death. That could be good if there's an Albert that comes out, especially considering that Omega saved the Evolve Orb by playing the 2 Floral Fencers just to get some measure of followers on board.
So Aaron is going to go up to 8, take 3, be at 5, so it's going to survive a single Grimnir. Oh, interesting.
My powers
Okay, the Fairy's not going to be able to remove the second Floral Fencer. The double ward is going to help, but with Grimnir coming down, it's going to be 3 to the Aaron.
shall judge you.
Oh, come on.
3 to the Aaron, and that's a cleared board for Omega. That
Yeah.
he's got so much room to play in this matchup.
He needs to be careful. The Evolution Orb. Oh, he gets his second Aaron, and that's
He gets the
exactly
Aaron.
what he
It's
needs.
exactly what he needed. The ward and the healing, absolutely the tools that can stave off that Albert.
Oh my gosh. He needs to be able to constantly clear. Now, in 2 turns, right? Next turn, Omega can play another Albert. and it'll be tough, right? Because he takes another 4, and then there's still, or rather, another Grimner, and then he still has double enhanced Alberts coming. He's not gonna evolve. He's not gonna clear.
Yeah, and Swordcraft is such that it's perfectly fine in this stage of the game where you've only got 4 cards in hand, relying on that draw to give you your fuel that you need. But Forestcraft, it's a little bit different. Forestcraft really needs to have a large amount of cards in its hand to really make its combos happen with Roach, for example.
It's gonna get Dance of Death. Swing once, swing twice.
He's not gonna evolve it. I love
I like that a
choice.
lot. If he opts to play Dance of Death, he's dead here. He needs to draw. No, he's. He needed to draw some kind of reward card or some kind of healing.
Right, yeah.
No
this
option here is
enhanced
gonna
Albert's
save
gonna be
him.
able to go for face for 10 damage. Omega is gonna be able to take this series 1-1, our first 1-1 series of the day.
And really, the question is, what started Unlucker down this path? Was it because he was too eager with his bounces early on, right? Should he have saved that bounce and tried to figure out a more kind of less efficient in terms of face health, but more efficient in terms of cards in hand, right?
Possibly, but that could have been his only option to board clear. And really trying, I think he was playing towards his advantages of trying to get as much face damage done as possible to put Omega in the range where it would be lethal. But Omega was able to do just that with his sword deck.
Oh, Omega plays the Albert, and I think he's just waiting, watching Unlucker and saying, are you gonna... He's taking the move. Will you willingly surrender? So that game, I mean, went to that game. I hope the players can finish it out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But the Albert came down on the field. There was a Evolve Orb, and then 10 damage of health left.
Yeah.
Either way, seems like a done deal to me.
Yeah.
Very well played by
it's
Omega.
on his turn, right?
Yeah, very well played by Omega, and very well played by his opponent as well.
Well, an interesting game, and I think those options that we talked about in terms of like Forestcraft and kind of in the same vein as Runecraft, Forestcraft really excels when it's kind of got a bunch of cards in hand, right? You know that if your Forestcraft opponent is just top decking, you know, he really doesn't have a comfortable option to kind of work off of. He would really much prefer to play combos of cards.
Yeah, I'm with you. Absolutely, and this is the first semifinals game. Omega versus Unlucker, and it's a 1-1 in a Forestcraft mirror matchup at that.
Fairy Circle is a great card to have in the opening.
Oh, absolutely. One of the best, especially in a Forestcraft matchup where your
bounce
opponent
too.
could have Sylvan Justice. I mean, Sylvan Justice is a great card against Shadow Sword followers, classes that have aggressive 2-cost followers.
And the second Fairy Circle really provides the opportunity for Omega to play his Glimmering Wings with maximum effect.
Ooh, an Ancient Elf. Went out on that draw. Not too bad. I think Omega is more than happy to have the 3-4 ward on his side, especially when we haven't even yet reached the stage of the game where there's evolve points. We just came back to Omega's turn. He's got that first evolve point. He's got the Elven Princess Mage to get those 0-cost fairies as well.
It seems like the disconnect on our side was just of the Spectator client. So they were actually able to close out the game. Omega moved on 1-1.
Excellent.
Oh, come on! You're done
Omega is really gaining
Tough spot for Unlucker, having
Yeah.
to evolve a fairy as a reaction to a Princess Mage evolve is like, that's the worst spot. Not only do you have less evolve orbs, but you've had to spend your evolve orb, not get an effect off of it, and then still not have board control, right? You're still behind. And he's got double 0-cost fairies plus a roach plus the bounce. Means at the very least he's gonna have an 8 damage roach combo.
Yeah, and a glimmering wings as well. So more chances to earn that card draw as well. Not to mention the Sylvan Justice as well. But this Fina could be nasty for Omega to deal with. He could spin the Tilly if he wants to get rid of that. Excuse me, Lily.
Tilly.
That is not a card that exists.
Tia plus Lily equals Tilly.
If they were sisters, you know, or had a third sister.
Hmm.
If
Aren't
they're sisters
aren't
in
all
the
the
first place,
Crystalia cards sisters?
that would make sense. I would.
Yeah.
I'm not
Lily,
positive.
Tia, and Aaron.
Hmm.
Somebody,
I believe it. Someone
Ignidius
told
is a
me, I
big
believe
fan.
it.
I'm gonna ask Ignidius. He's a big fan of flavor
How
text.
you on
I'm gonna ask him.
now? Mine is so sparkly.
I'm sure you are, Fairy.
Take your word for it.
All right. Well, you need to wipe the board, or else you're dead,
Ooh,
or you have a
spice.
ward.
Gimme.
If he takes a swing from either the 2 or the 3 damage, he's dead.
And I think Unlucker.
Oh, the Tia!
Oh, they had the ward.
That's great.
Yeah.
That
Very,
ward
very
is,
nice.
is a lifesaver.
It definitely stems the flow of blood. But do you think it really phases Omega that much?
So he's on 7 play points.
Mm-hmm.
He still won't quite be able to reach here.
He's got an A-Ran of him.
Just because the
Mhm.
if that Tia, if that ward was on 2 health, then the Sylvan Justice would take it out. Lily can swing face. Then you can play Fairy Fairy, Roach Bounce, Roach Evolve. And that would close out the game.
Gotcha.
Actually, it would be even more damage because he would play the Justice
I'm
first.
sorry, Tia.
Actually, we'll see. So he's going to do 4-9. I think he might still be dead because he's a card ahead now. So if he plays a Roach, it's going to do 5 and it's going to do 7. Yep. Or 4, and then 6, and then the Evolve.
Hmm.
Yeah. Plus the Justice at the start gave the extra card.
Exactly the amount of damage Omega needed. Very well played, very well calculated. And that's going to be Omega EXG advancing to the finals.
A turn 7 kill. And really, this is the big danger of playing against Forestcraft, especially when you get the Princess Mage Evolve. And we talked about that, right? You have the situation where you're able to use that Evolve Orb to threaten the Princess Mage, then your opponent has to use the Evolve Orb on stuff that's not going to be equally as strong,
Right.
and then still not have board control. And because playing that Tia was actually really strong, but it was not quite enough.
It wasn't enough. Yeah, even having the ward, it was Omega had more than enough tools in his hand to deal with.
Yeah. Any kind of board control you have as Forestcraft is actually really, really strong because any extra source of damage you can throw in there, it was really the fact that the Lily survived, could swing out the ward, and then you could still play the Roach combo off the back of that.
Yeah.
And the Sylvan Justice is not too expensive such that it would ruin your Roach combo because you have the 2 0-cost drops. You're able to close it out. Roach does a lot of damage.
And Forestcraft, yet again, telling us why it's such a strong deck. We saw it poking its head up earlier in a few tournaments. It would come here and there. It would win JCG in Japan. And now it has very well could win the tournament this week as well.
Yeah. So Omega moves on. Let's welcome back Ignidius onto the desk. Ignidius, how are you doing?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm back.
You're back. And it looks like so far your predictions are coming true. Omega is moving on. So EXG still has a place in this tournament. Let's take a look at the bracket to see who our next 2 opponents are going to be, or who are the next 2 participants are going to be. This is going to be Sleep versus the 7th here. And according to your predictions, it's going to be Sleep to be moving on. And the reason why I think that that's... Yeah. The reason why I think that's interesting, too, is that would also coincide with the curse of a player not being able to make a repeat finish. Because now that Unlucker is out, he was already a previous tournament winner.
Right.
If Sleep moves on, then 7th, who is a previous tournament winner, will also be out.
Rainy, could our tournament be cursed?
It's cursed.
There you go. There's a precedent.
I'm
See,
not
always
gonna lie,
right
I would
most of the
love
time.
if our tournament is
Yeah.
cursed.
Ignidius made what we'll call an educated guess, right?
Great.
An educated
Nah,
guess.
I'm basically Nostradamus. I'm sorry. I didn't let you know.
Wow.
I'm the
Right.
Delphic
What
Oracle
happened to
type
that
of
humility,
character.
man?
Hey.
I mean, I'm the most humble person I know. So.
Yeah, very humble. Hey, when I asked how much do you win in life, he said not very much.
Oh.
So
Oh, okay.
he's very humble. Hey,
See, I
let's
was
take a
underselling, but I'm like over
over delivering, undersell, over deliver. Hey, you're a businessman at heart. Let's take a look at Sleet's deck here and see what he's packing. Here's his Shadowcraft deck, and he was, we talked a little bit about it, how Prince Catacomb kind of, he's becomes a sellout now. But Sleet is a fan. He really wants to stay with Prince Catacomb and keep following him in his journey.
Yeah, this looks
greatness.
exactly like the decks that we have been seeing this whole time. There's not, there's not really any changes. There's 2 Immortal Thanes. Typically, we may only see 1 with 3 Ectors as well. That's 5 7-drop cards. That's, I mean, it's a lot committed to the late game. But either way, like, not many changes.
Now, Sleep barely got away by the skin of its teeth. Is that the phrase? By
By the skin of your teeth. Yeah.
by the skin of his teeth against that snake deck. What'd you think about that, Ignidius? Snakes nearly made their way through. We nearly had an overflow of snakes on the NGE Shadowverse Open.
That was so PogChamp. I was like jumping out of my seat. I was like, oh yeah, snakes! I was so excited. Unfortunately, didn't make it through, but oh man, that was fun.
Yeah. There was a
I
knock
mean-
on the door, opened it, and disappointment was waiting for you there.
I love
Yeah.
how we love the deck so much. Oh, snakes, yes, all right.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I mean, snakes are super swingy, but I mean, it's just not that consistent, I guess. And you can deal with it with like these wide board clears, and I feel like Tempest really added a lot of board clears to a lot of the classes. So
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
You do.
And
No.
the big thing really was the Reaper, man. That Shadow Reaper was like just buffing up. We talked about, hey, you got goblins that do 1 damage against these 5/5 snakes. Sorry, buddy, you're not gonna really help.
And that's when the Reaper comes
Yeah,
in.
the Reaper just really
Eats those goblins for breakfast.
he reaped the benefits of that, as you could say. Hey,
Not bad. That's pretty good.
now we're all supposed to die. We all.
I mean, Reaper's always been like that, though. You know, it's like, don't you see? I'm only getting stronger. And then he just pumps weight to the gym, and then comes at 10-10. It's like, oh, okay, great. I guess
Oh
I'm
my
dead.
gosh. Hey,
It's
let's
pretty
take a
funny
look
because
at.
before Reaper was released, everyone thought it was going to be bad, but then he turns out to be incredible. And so
That's
persistent
true.
and-
That's really true.
Yeah.
Let's, talking about Shadowcraft, let's take a look at the 7th. I know he said the 7th. This is what the 7th will be running. And as far as I can see, as far as the eye can see, there's not so much difference, except for the fact that he is not a fan. He is a naysayer.
He's not a fan of the
The
Bone
Prince.
Chimera,
The
apparently.
Prince is gone.
Yep.
So is the Bone Chimera.
Mm.
And let's take a little closer look, right? Because we talked about this situation. What would be played in the stead of Prince Catacomb, right? So I see that he's got stuff like Dark Conjurer, which is not necessarily too crazy.
Right.
Soul Squasher is not too
And
crazy.
specifically on 3-drop, he's
Skeleton
got
Knight.
he's got
Skeleton
3
Knight,
Grimnirs
yeah.
and 3 Skeleton Knights as well.
Mhm. What do you make of this, Ignidius?
Skeleton Knight's pretty aggressive for a 3-drop because it's a 3-1.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of. I mean, I guess it's it's kind of hard to evaluate. It's kind of weird to me because this deck looks like a lot more aggressive, and I guess he just wants to stay on board. But you know, I was expecting something like in Rabbit Necro a little more,
Yeah.
just to get the face damage in. But I guess staying on board is more valuable. It's weird to me because I don't really feel like he's changed up his 3-drops, but he's taken out the Catacomb, which I was expecting someone to change up the 3-drops and then keep the Catacomb just to
Yeah.
get a 1-2-3 Catacomb. But I guess that's just not impactful enough for the 7th here.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he values just having the solid followers on the board rather than the 1/1, and then use the Orthrus on turn 4 instead to kind of increase their effectiveness in that scenario.
I guess so, but the 1 health on Skeleton Knight is kind of like lame against, because it's coming down on that turn where you're about to evolve, and then you got Dark Conjurer's Ghost that can kill it. You got Lyriel's Evolve that can kill it.
Right, with
And it's
Chimera.
just, it doesn't really seem that, it doesn't have like a lot of oomph, I guess.
Yeah, with Chimera, even with they can both be banished, so Havencraft is always a threat. But with Bone Chimera, if it's just damaged by Sylvan Justice or Blazing Breath, you get 2 skeletons. But with
Yeah, 2 dudes come out.
2 dudes come out.
He's 1 dude made of 2 dudes. That's so metal. But Skeleton Knight's just a dude that turns
took
to
the
another
words
dude.
right out of my mouth.
2 dudes. You guys, this is the best analyst segment we've ever had. 2 dudes play Bone Chimera. 2 dudes come out.
Yeah, and with
They're
Skeleton
like,
Knight,
I'm
only
not
one guy
wrong.
comes, only one dude. comes
you
out.
you are not wrong. This is another moment in life where you're right, Ignidius. There's like the little cell. What is the process called where they?
I have no idea.
God, do you know, Ignidius?
The cell
Biology expert
splits.
or something. Do I look like a biologist to you?
Yeah. The
Nah, I think
memologist.
physics in high school,
Oh,
not biology.
that
We made fun
reminds
of the
me.
biology kids.
That reminds me, Ignidius. Before we move on here, I wanted to ask you a question. What is the flavor text that I forgot what the card was. What did we want to know the flavor text for?
Oh Oh my gosh.
Fangblade
Oh, the
player?
sisters. The
Oh,
sisters.
Crystalia. Tia,
Crystalia?
Lilia, Tia, Lily, and Aaron. They're
Yeah, what's
sisters,
the lore?
right?
Are they sisters?
Do you remember the flavor text for them?
Man, I don't memorize flavor text.
Are you supposed to be the flavor text god?
Out there, Rainey was talking you up, man.
I read the flavor text that I like. So that would be the flavor text of
Oh.
Fangblade Slayer specifically.
Mm.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
flavor text of Tribunal of Good and Evil. Those are my two favorite flavor texts right now.
Okay.
Big
Well,
fan.
nobody likes Crystalia, Lily, Tia, or Aaron.
Apparently,
Specifically
yeah.
not Ignitius. Hey,
No.
let's jump into our next game. We'll have Ignitius join us once again
No.
for the finals for a final hurrah. And of course, have a discussion about how he feels the tournament went so far. A lot of people have fallen. A lot of people have moved on. And we're left with only the representatives of Shadow Nexus and EXG kind of...
Only one of them will be able to take the win
Mhm.
today.
Yeah. Get that weekly champion flair, as well as the opportunity to go to the playoffs. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Also, now that it's kind of, we've seen this happen so many times, I feel like it needs mentioning. If a player were to win a second first place finish, so he wins first place twice, he's not going to get a second direct invite. It doesn't fall down to the second place finisher. What happens with the direct invite is it gets voided, and then one more player from the leaderboard will be taken. So right now, assuming that there are no repeat wins, there's going to be 10 direct invites because there are 10 open entry tournaments.
Key thing there, assuming there's no repeat wins, which we could
Yes.
very well say a repeat win tonight.
Yeah. So if there are no repeat wins, 10 direct invites, 6 invites from the leaderboard. If there is a repeat win, then that means there are only 9 direct invites. Then the leaderboard will invite 7. Are you happy? 5 and 2.
Absolutely satisfied. Completely content as we go into this semifinals game, EXG the 7th versus...
Hey, talking about the number 7.
You must die.
Oh my god.
This one's for
This
my
guy.
family.
I can't. He's in my brain. 7th. Versus Sleet. Let's take a look at this
Wild
mulligan.
Fang Dragonute
Oh.
and Altered Fate.
Oh.
Are we seeing a discard-based Dragoncraft deck?
He's got the Earthshock Ogre. He's got it animated too. That guy is pumped up.
Yeah, what an Earthshock Ogre. Man, that's such a good card. Does 3 damage, and when you evolve, you can do another 3 damage to an enemy. Man, such a good card.
And
And
he's
the
just
7th's got
sick.
Dragon Oracle on turn 2. Man, oh, this is...
The-
I am
oh, God.
so pumped for this game.
Yeah, he is pumping up for this game too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Dragon Mancer's right if that card comes down. It's going to be absolutely nasty. He's got 2 newts in his hand. Oh, man. 3
This
newts!
is the choice.
Dude,
Oh
if he gets
my
that Imperial
God.
Dragoon, it is on,
Oh my
man.
god. This is the moment of truth. Will the dreams?
If that, man,
Come
if that happens, the newts on turn 8 and then the Imperial Dragoon on turn 9, if that...
Is he gonna even lift that point? I mean, there's 6 damage on board here, and he's about to get his first evolve turn. Breath of the Salamander might help. He's gonna heal a little bit from the Dragon Fervor here.
Yeah, but he's 1 turn away from having the enhanced Breath of the Salamander.
Gosh, yep. He's gonna have it on the next turn.
Oh my gosh, and Sleet doesn't even have a card this turn. If he evolves,
Oh god.
no matter what... Oh, he evolves. Oh, man. Breath of the
Oh,
Salamander is
no.
going to just destroy this board.
He's taking a good bit of damage off.
He is. Yeah.
11 health is pretty scary, right?
Right.
Assuming that he's got 2 turns of Alwedas waiting there. Now, fortunately, he's going to get heal from this Dragoness, which is super important right now for the 7th. Right now, he just needs to live 1 more turn and hope that he draws into his discard. Oh my god, what is this game?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And there's no other cards we've seen so far that, aside from the Altered Fate, that utilize the discard function, other than the Newt and the Altered Fate. And he hasn't drawn into Imperial Dragoon, if it's even in his Dragoncraft deck.
He's at 7 while his opponent is still at 4. So Sleet is going to have 5 play points next turn. And that's just going to mean Luminous Mage, unless he draws into the Albert on the top deck.
Yeah.
There's not so much threat, and it's just going to pass over to the 7th for his 8 play point turn.
Right. Does the 7th want to play Breath of the Salamander this turn?
It's going to be Dragon Warrior.
Yep. Still has 3 play points remaining and have a follower on his side of the field as well.
Bloop.
Yep, and you get to save the Breath of the Salamander as well, if he wants to use Blazing Breath. Or maybe Alien. Try to get to turn 10 as fast as you can. Ooh, Scyther.
He's gonna have the rush or the storm rather.
You wouldn't.
Oh,
He's just going to
turning
use
it
the
back
storm
around.
to go face.
He's turning it back around, and I think that
You and
okay,
I
Luminous Mage comes out this turn, and it was the Geno on the top deck.
So the Luminous Mage would have been able to have been survived with just 1 health.
attack.
We'll be able to clear out both,
Yeah.
but basically for the 7th, any extra turn he spends not getting swung out to face is like a plus turn for him.
Right. Oh my gosh, is that
That's Altered
Altered
Fate.
Fate? He can put, oh my gosh, that's 8 perfect play points right there. He'll discard 3 cards if he puts all the newts down, discards 3 cards with Altered Fate.
Oh.
Goodness.
But will he live? If he does that, will he live?
Right.
Alwida's
That's
for
9.
3.
Yeah, that's
6.
9 damage. Plus an evolved Scyther. Really thinking about if he wants to do that
I think
combo.
that might be the option, but you do lose your Breath of the Salamander, and when Alwida's comes down, then all of a sudden there's that ward in the way.
Right. But who knows what those 3 cards he draws from Altered Fate are
Yeah.
going to be.
That's going to be really important.
Oh, I think he's going to do it.
Cowards.
I think he's going to newt and then Altered
my
Fate.
God. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say.
The room is so tense right
Do
now.
something.
He's got so many options.
Stop thinking. Just do. There's 1. There's 2.
He's going to
Yo.
save one of them. Get that. Okay, get that extra damage.
Now and again.
And save the 2 play points.
He got Breath of the Salamander.
Just to use Breath of the Salamander, yep.
Shield.
Man, what a risk. He had no idea what the cards he was going to draw into were B. And now
Why
he's at
would
11
he-
health on
yeah,
turn
I
7.
think he was looking to save the play points for a final kind of card to play as a result of that. I think the Breath of the Salamander to be played at the end actually turned out really well for him because he mitigates most of this damage he's going to take
Right.
to face on this turn.
Especially if that mage was going to be able to evolve next turn. There wasn't a commander in the hand of Sleet,
It all ends
but
here.
there's no way the 7th could have known that. So coming in the Breath of the Salamander, definitely very clutch.
And this is great because now we're in a situation where Sleek couldn't play Alwida's and had to spend an Evolve Orb wiping the board here.
And this,
We're 2 turns away from Grimner coming in and doing 4 to face. Now, there are no more Evolution Orbs here on the side of the 7th. So he's really kind of looking for options, and I almost think just one
comes into
Grimner here
another
is going to be
Grimner
really
as
important.
well. Yep. Very great. I love
Just
that.
make sure you don't die, because once you get to that turn 10, you're in a much better spot. That Dragon Warrior would have been really great had he had an Evolve Orb, and I think that would have been the play. But he needs to just make sure he lives.
And we're 1 turn away from the Ogre coming down. That could possibly be 6 damage to face, plus an evolved follower that you could trade into to gain some tempo as well. Yeah, there's nothing that the 7th has that can clear off the Taji or the Knight. You might just have to play the Dragon Warrior and call it a day. But would you want to get the ward down? But it's turn 10 next.
Oh my god.
Getting to save those 2 Grimners for 2 turn 10 plays.
Oh my god. I really hope he doesn't just get rushed down here. Because especially with that Earthshock over, that's a lot of tempo coming his way.
Right. If he doesn't evolve, that's 6 damage, and then...
He needs to clear the board. And that's probably just going to be these 2 follows in, plus the Alwidas to do 3 to face.
Right.
And then probably use Ogre Evolve in some situation.
Right.
And the Grimner's not going to even remove that Ogre, right? So it's... I think Sleet is in a very good position right now. Unless, like, randomly... And even then, it's not going to close it out, right? If the Imperial Dragoon comes up.
Yeah, you're right. There's only 4 cards in the hand of the 7th. And he got rid of one of his newts with the Altered Fate.
He's going full face here.
You're done for.
Oh, he's going to use a Pirate Evolve to... Okay, so he doesn't have Ogre Evolve anymore.
Right. But he does
But
have...
this is going to mean that Grimner is actually going to wipe everything on the board this turn.
Right, and he does have... He still has the Ogre. That's 3 damage. There's no way the 7th could be expecting to see the Ogre.
My tempest shall
Oh,
judge
no.
you.
You wouldn't.
I don't think the Sleet can't close it out this turn.
Yeah,
He's got
I think
Alwidas.
he's done.
And even if he draws Albert, it's only turn 8. He's not going to have enhanced Albert.
He can't stop the Grimnir.
And then the next Grimnir is just going to come down. Yeah, you can't stop that. He can't win the game now, so he loses next turn. The 7th. Showing
Wow.
us why.
I really think he needed to he had to clear out the Dragon Warrior himself with the 2 cards on board, and then play the Alwidas. But if he didn't evolve the Alwidas, yeah, I think either way he probably would have lost. Because even if he took that line of play, the Ogre would have came in and wiped out the Grimnir, but he wouldn't have enough damage to swing face.
Yeah, either way, the 2 Grimnirs, 8 damage to face. That's going to be the 7th taking the first win of the series.
Discard Dragon?
Who knew, man?
The 7th just gave him the discard Dragon loss.
In a hybrid deck at that, it wasn't like full discard. There wasn't like the Owl Guardian or Proxine Dragon, the cards that Pyrozine Dragon, the cards that give you the other like discard advantages, or even Dragonmancer's Rights. But it was mixed with the Grimnirs and the Scythers, the cards we typically see in the Ramp Dragon decks.
There was even some really good like nuance to the 7th's play. Because he could have gone full on, triple Dragon Newt.
Right.
But he chose to play the safe option in that scenario. The guy could have just slammed discard into Sleet's face, but he didn't. He was very measured. He was very careful about it. And now the 7th can fall back onto his Shadowcraft deck and be in a situation where he could actually move on to the finals for a 2nd time in a row, facing off against EXG members there.
And we'll see what the 7th's Shadow deck can go up against Sleet deck. We looked at both players' Shadow decks, and it's going to be interesting to see what this matchup is going to be. We've seen how nerfed Shadow can be absolutely decimated by Sword earlier in the tournament today. And man, Sleet has got a pretty decent curve here. He's got 2 and then 3 with the Lyrio and the Novice Trooper, but the 7th was able to get the 1-drop of the Goblin, and he's got a 2-drop with the Sergeant as well. 3 and then more opportunities to draw, and he's got the Reaper in hand already. The 7th has got the options to run away with this game.
Oh boy.
And we're going to see what Sleet chooses to do to answer it. I almost called him the Sleet. Not a bad name, but still it's not their name. Sleet. Novice Troopers can go for face on this turn because Catacomb on turn 3 is no longer a threat. But you know what is a threat? Grimnir on turn 3. That's definitely a threat. Or a Shadow Reaper Goblin on turn 3 as well. There are plenty of options in the hand of the 7th because the Sergeant can trade into either the Lyrial or the Trooper, buff up the Shadow Reaper, and then you've got the Goblin on turn to trade in the next turn to buff up the Reaper even more.
I'm definitely more leaning towards the Goblin Reaper, or the Goblin Reaper combo, just because it feels like it forces a tougher situation onto Sleet for kind of, you're guaranteed to get some value out of your Shadow Reaper, right, as you trade out here.
Right.
There's not going to be a way for Sleet to swing in or remove the Reaper here, and so that Reaper is going to be able to at least do 3 damage to face and kind of provide some guaranteed value for the Goblin. Because if you remove the Goblin, the Reaper gets stronger. If you leave the Goblin up, the Reaper can take down Lyrial, right?
Here we are at the first evolve point available for the 7th. He's got the Skeleton Knight. But I really like the evolved Grimnir here because it can trade into Geno and be left with 1 health.
Then it would force the Lyrial evolve to
ping it out if the Reaper doesn't trade into it this turn as well. Because a Reaper could choose to do that, then it's a prime target for Whole-Souled Swing, if it would be left with 1 defense.
If the Reaper is left with 1 defense, it could also be taken out by the Lyrial evolve. Either way...
You're right, yeah, he does have another Lyrial in hand.
Either way, he would Lyrial evolve and then swing 1, so...
And Taji as well. Lyrial for 1, Taji for 1. Not a bad turn for 3 play orbs. but he's on his 5th orb. Only using 3 orbs, he can clear the board effectively, but that won't be any face damage if he wants to trade the Taji into the Grimnir. Ping for 1 on the Shadow Reaper. Or excuse me, you should definitely ping the Shadow Reaper first.
Yeah, if you buff up the Shadow Reaper, either way, Lyril's going to take 4 damage, right? Because if you take out the Grimnir, then swing, the Reaper is going to buff up to do 4.
Right.
So he values keeping the Lyril on the board, and I think that's the right choice, right? Only 1 defense on that. You want to be as efficient as you can.
And there's 1 Evolve Orb, and you've got a 4/4 follower on your board that now the 7th has to deal with. With Soul Squasher, I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. He could Soul Squasher, and then Skeleton Knight, Soul Squasher, Grimnir.
They're so fresh. Finally a break.
It's going to go for the slightly more aggressive option of getting the 3/1 follower on board. But, as we talked about, Skeleton Knight only summons 1 dude.
And remember, the 7th here isn't running Catacombs in his deck at all, right? So that's not going to be something that ever happens, ever.
My sword brings hope. It won't be long now.
Unless Sleet is able to advance to the finals. And we see a Shadow deck, and then Catacomb comes out. But we are not there yet. We're still in the semifinals. The real Archer in the hand of the 7th. He's got 2 Evolve Orbs remaining. There have been several turns that have gone by where the players haven't elected to use their Evolve Orbs. The boards have been rather small this turn, I'd say, with players choosing to go for tempo rather than face damage at times.
In terms of maintaining cards on board, it really does seem like the Lyrial option will be the slightly favored choice here. Just because you can get the last word effect off your Skeleton Knight. You could have the Lyrial Evolve take down the Luminous Knight. And you kind of get that last word effect, have the Lyrial remaining, and then you can play a ward or another Skeleton Knight.
Man, I love Skeleton Knight in this matchup where there's no possible way it could be banished. It's really a prime target. I mean, 3 attack for a 3 drop, that's really good. But then you get the Skeleton after it as well.
What's kind of distressful about this situation is the 7th has 1 card in hand on turn 6, right?
Yeah.
And if Sleet will wipe out his board state here, which is entirely possible with Luminous Mage and Alberts kind of everywhere.
Yeah, getting that free Evolve Orb, ensuring that you can evolve commanders almost indefinitely with this Luminous Mage, and you've still got 1 Evolve Orb remaining and 2 turns for an enhanced Albert. But the 7th, he's sitting pretty at 16 health.
Oh.
Ooh, a Dark Conjurer, that could ping out the ghosted summons if he evolves one of the followers already on board, could ping out the Luminous Mage really well.
Yeah, if he evolves a Skeleton Knight,
And
then
then
do a lot of damage to face, Dark Conjurer, use Skeleton to ping out Luminous Knight, and use Ghost to ping out Mage.
yeah, that's an absolutely stellar turn, clearing the board and getting 5 face damage.
And he could also have the ward on to boot. That makes things really tough for Sleep because he's
could
not
have
quite
the
at
ward.
enhanced stage yet.
Yep, he could have the ward, but that's the last card in the hand of the 7th. He's able to get like really good value for this turn here. But until he gets to turn 10 with the Grimnir, this is, I mean, the 7th is in a bad spot, I'd say.
The Mad Cyclone.
Especially with 2 Alberts in the hand of Sleet and a Grimnir of his own.
It's all about the top deck now.
Oh,
Another Luminous Mage, and this tempo is really helping Sleet out a lot. He's maintaining Evolution Orbs.
Right.
He's keeping himself from playing the Albert for any kind of damage control. And now he's got the ward on the board as well.
Turn the power of hope to light.
Ow!
And the Skeleton Knight is able to stay alive this turn. Oh my gosh, it's
Oh,
an Ector.
man.
No way. So,
Oh no.
he can
And
clear
so
the
he's
board
going to
with-
get 4 + 7 here.
He was going to have 2 zombies, at least.
Not quite lethal.
Yeah, not quite lethal, but still massive amount of damage, even though we're
The enhanced Albert is coming next turn
It's coming out next turn.
with the Evolution Orb. So I think it's very important to kind of clear board here. He needs to take down the 4 and the 2 here, so he needs to do a full clear if he wants to live, actually. Does he Okay, he took down the 4.
Okay.
So there's 12 damage here.
Yeah. Damage, but now Sleet is forced to go for board clear if he wants to stay alive.
So what is the option here?
Yeah,
He
I
can
don't
take out 5
Well,
damage.
I don't think he's able to get rid of the Ector and the Skeleton Knight. Because Ector's only got 5 attacks.
So if he plays the Maid Leader, then does the unenhanced Albert, then uses the Evolve on the Maid Leader. No, still no, because he won't have enough damage to kill Ector.
To kill Ector. Yeah, an Evolved Maid Leader, 3 attack with 5. That's still 1 shy. The Ector, he'd have to commit both the enhanced Albert attacks. Oh, man.
I think Sleep might be dead.
Yeah, I think you might be
Excellent
right.
work.
Both back to back.
I should have
The
thought
7th is EXG Omega and the 7th. Back to back. Spot 1, spot 2. Well, we don't even know. Is Omega going to beat the 7th?
What?
Last time, the 7th picked Omega up by the feet and just slapped him around, right? It was a 2-0 finish. He just, like,
What
put
an
him in a
image.
dumpster.
But man, what a statement that EXG is making.
Going by previous experience, I find it entirely plausible that the 7th might have a back-to-back first place finish here.
Yeah? Because of the mirror matchup that they've already gone against each other?
Yeah, and
Hmm.
it looked real easy for the 7th. Now, it is Shadowverse, it is a card game, right?
Right.
So sometimes these results can look a lot more convincing than they are.
And you're right. Going off of that point, knowing that, seeing the same players again, like what a statement that EXG is making.
Mhm.
They're saying, we've got the best players, and here's proof.
Yeah.
We can come back and make it to the finals again.
And the big thing, too, let's take a look at the brackets. And the big thing, too, here is Excelsior Vindy mentioned that for EXG, they were looking at a lot of these games and looking at a lot of the other teams and saying, hey, what are these guys doing that are making them so consistent? They made some adjustments. And all of a sudden, you see EXG, 2 tournaments in a row, both members of EXG in the round of 8, all the way through to the finals. Omega and the 7th, this is the rematch. This is the revenge opportunity for Omega here. Or is the 7th just going to continue stepping on his face from the throne, saying, you know what, I'm the champion here, and you can't touch this throne,
We've
right?
got the alpha male being challenged by one of the other
One of the pack.
lions in the
Yeah.
tribe. This is going to be the battle that determines who leads the pack as
So-
far as who's the best player right now.
We can certainly gloat a little bit now at Igni Deus, who's probably joined us again, that, sorry, buddy, your prediction is wrong. Oh, well.
It's unfortunate, but at the same time, I'm pretty happy that Discard Dragon is making it to the finals. That's amazing.
Discard
Yeah,
Dragon, right? Isn't that crazy? Now,
It's,
do
it's
you...
not really an honest Discard Dragon. It's OTK Dragon Nude, but still,
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Hey, let's take a look at some of these decks for these players here. This is going to be Omega's Swordcraft deck. And according to you, Ignidius, you want Swordcraft to take a win here.
I just think Swordcraft is good. Like now that
Mhm.
Shadow and Dragon are less impressive, I think Swordcraft is good again. Swordcraft has always been good since the beginning of time. So
Yeah,
it
Swordcraft
doesn't
will...
surprise me that they're back.
Yeah.
And this deck is ladder worthy. This is actually like almost exactly what I run,
Hmm.
to be honest.
Mhm.
It might actually be exactly what I run now that I'm looking at it.
Huh.
With one Dance
yeah,
of
this
Death.
deck is great. Yeah, I run one Dance of Death.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
one
this deck
of...
is great.
Very specific.
So I have I have a lot of confidence in this sword deck.
Omega
Sword.
seems well positioned with this deck in a new environment here. Let's take a look at the 7th's final deck that we have yet to see. It's going to be the Pseudo Discard Dragon. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the turn 8 play, that 8 play point play, Ignidius, where he had the 3 Dragon Nudes, but he had the Wildfang Dragon Nudes, but he opted only to play 2 of them. What did you make of that? I thought it ended up really well because he had that Blazing Breath, but how would you have kind of assessed that situation?
I think that was the right play. I mean, he was clearly looking for the second Altered Fate
Mhm.
to do more damage.
Yeah.
That's more damage because you have a better chance to draw it as well.
Right,
Mm.
because you
Just
play
third
Altered
dragon.
Fate, you play the second Altered Fate, and you double the benefit of the
Hmm.
2
Right.
Dragon Nudes you have on board.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I
that was
think it
pretty
was
clear.
really smart, right? He was really playing very conservative. It showed a lot of actually, I think, experience with the deck, and
Mhm.
and I feel like that's what's so scary about the 7th, right? He is this player who has a lot of experience behind him. He has a lot of power behind him as well.
Right, knowing how to make an optimal play that might not seem like an optimal play to someone who does not know the deck as well as the player.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing to his outs, and that's that's the mark of a good player.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just gotta go with your best percentage to win.
Who would have thought that perhaps the most nerfed in the update would win another tournament, but this time in the form of a discard deck? That's just crazy. We've seen snakes, we've seen discard. I feel like this would be your dream, Ignidius. Is this not the dream for you?
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy about this. But hey, he hasn't won the tournament yet.
Mhm.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
He's got
Swordcraft
one
is still
more.
there.
He's
right?
probably had this
Yeah.
deck for months, for
Mhm.
weeks, and he's been
Mhm.
sitting on it this whole time knowing this is such a deck. Oh my gosh, I
Mhm.
can't wait to play this, but it's not the right time. It's not the right time. Second the nerf hits, knowing exactly what those nerfs are going to be. Oh my gosh, perfect time to unleash this deck.
So,
Right? 'Cause as soon as the oppressive tier 1 is out of the meta, here we go. Here's my
He's launching all his
here's
secret
New
plans.
tier
Ready.
1, yeah.
Unleash the hounds.
unleash the hounds.
Just-
Hey, two things that I would love to go through here with Ignidius before we kind of launch ourselves into the finals. The first one, I'd like to remind you guys that MomoCon is happening, and there will be a few things that we're going to be doing at MomoCon. The first thing is just 4 days of just us at the booth. You can come to the booth, hang out, play some Shadowverse. We'll give you some physical card packs that we can open. You can hang out with Sterling, myself, Aya Senpai, and Envy Bear. And you can also meet Team Side Games, The Beast, that's Daigo Umehara, and PR Balrog. Very, very fantastic fighting game players on Thursday from 2:30 to 4:30. Also, Japanese cosplayers coming over to celebrate some Shadowverse with us. Definitely come hang out with them and see what they're all about Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Free entry Shadowverse tournaments nightly, 9 p.m. on Thursday and 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. Definitely get here early because there might be a limited amount of space. We only have that size of the venue to really run it off of. So
All of our fans might throng to us, and then you won't get the
Mhm.
chance to meet us.
And finally, the Take-Two showcase match between Envy Bear and Aya Senpai. They are definitely community heroes, but make no mistake, Ignidius, you are also a community hero. And in fact, if you want to understand why Ignidius is so powerful, where can people find more of you?
Yeah, you can see me at youtube.com/IgnidiusLP, as well as twitter.com/IgnidiusLP, twitch.tv/Ignidius, and that's basically it.
Ignidius LP. Ignidius LP. Make sure to remember that.
And I recently got a Discord partnership. So you can just click discord.gg/Ignidius and you'll find my
Nice.
Discord server. I'm
Hey.
there all the time if you want to hit me
Hey.
up.
You never told me you had a Discord. I'm about to join that right now. In fact, I'm going to
Mhm.
write a little note. Join Discord for the Igni-D.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Discord.gg/Ignidius.
There it
That
is.
vanity URL.
That's spelled IGNIDEUS. That's Ignidius, and then add LP for his Twitter and his YouTube.
As soon as you finish spelling it, I immediately forgot how to spell it.
IGNIDEUS.
That didn't help.
I think it's just your problem.
It's just your problem. Come on, man.
I mean, obviously.
Get with the program, Sterling. All right, Ignidius. Anything you want to say? Any shoutouts you want to give? Anything that you want to offer the Shadowverse community here?
I mean, of course, I want to say thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Loved being here. This was really fun.
Mhm.
And go Sword, because I want to be right.
Go Sword.
Here we
Omega. He's planning for Omega to win. I'm playing for the 7th to win, so I'm gonna finally give my prediction. We nearly juked him out a third time on the
Yeah.
show. Nearly
Nice.
forced him to give another prediction. But as we're jumping into this final match, I would also love to give a heartfelt thank you to Ignidius, all the way from Singapore in the wee hours of the morning, waking up, joining us on the Shadowverse Open, talking to us about what he does and also his thoughts on the tournament and just in general having a good time.
Yeah, thank you so
You're a
much. for
hero
coming
to
out.
me. You are
It's
a
been
hero.
entirely my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks so much, Ignidius. Sterling, final 2, Omega in the 7th. We've seen it before. I think the 7th is going to take it. I want to believe, you know, as much as I would love to see Omega kind of rise to beat his difficulties, I want to see the 7th claim his name as... the opportunities are dwindling, right? There's only 2 more tournaments, and we already know that this tournament, the only opportunity for that storyline to happen is with the 7th.
Right.
Past that, there's only 2 more shots, and it might
Mhm.
just fall away from you, this chance to become a 2-time winner.
Yeah, dude, I want the 7th to win.
Yeah.
So, like, unashamedly, like, the 7th, please give us a double win.
Mhm.
That would be just absolutely stellar.
We're about to get dunked by Ignidius. Because Omega's gonna take.
Omega's
Omega's gonna take
We will
it.
see, because we're loading into game right now. It's going to be the finals of this week.
Is it gonna be
Game
discard
1.
dragon again? No,
No,
he's
it's going to be
he's
Shadow.
leading with his
It's gonna be the
Shadowcraft.
Shadow against Omega's sword deck.
You must
And this is interesting, right? Because Sword versus Shadow in a situation where you don't have that Prince Catacomb effect, you know, is that going to be something that's going to hurt the 7th in the long run? Because then Omega is going to have that slight easier time getting board control, and then all of a sudden Sword becomes unstoppable.
Right.
Oh, God, throws away the Albert and gets a Fang Blade. And that's not really what you want to see kind of early on. Doesn't mean that it's the end of his of this particular game here.
Yeah, an interesting choice to keep the two drops, and he just came into another whole soul swing as well. But there's not really a solid 1-drop for the 7th either. He's got the Lyrial Archer on turn 2 and then the Skeleton Knight on turn 3. But we'll see what this evolves into. And I love whole soul swing in this matchup, especially going second. When you get to like really gain the maximum advantage,
Yeah.
as soon as your opponent plays a 2-drop, then you've got the perfect answer for it as well.
And it's the most common, especially before the nerf, when Prince Catacomb was turn 3. It was the biggest way to get the Catacomb to be alone, right? You get that instant burst of damage on turn 2. So Sergeant comes down, and it might be, I don't know, the whole soul swing and the Katana Unsheath.
It could be. Whole soul swing. He could play that. That would definitely get rid of the Sergeant. But
He's
then you
gonna
don't
go
get
for
the
the
full
veteran
effect
Lancer.
of having the Knight as well. He's going to go with the Lancer and the Taji as well. There could be a Shadow Reaper and a Lyrial Archer drop this turn, knowing that the first Evolve Orb is going to be coming out for Omega. The Lyrial Archer and the Sergeant will certainly go down before it's the 7th's next turn again, when he's got the Evolve Orb on turn 5 with possibly a Skeleton Knight coming out.
That Shadow Reaper is going to get buff. It's an awkward situation to remove the Lyrial. You're going to whole soul swing again, but the instant you commit that, then you're floating 1 play point.
Yeah, being able
The
to
other option is just to ignore the Shadow Reaper and the Lyrial completely and just swing face with Trooper and Katana.
Right.
And that's what he's going to do.
That's might be, but oh man,
Is he
what
going
a-
to evolve for extra damage? No, he's going to go for board clear.
Didn't really want the Lyrial Archer to be evolved with that extra 1 ping damage.
It converts a 2 damage into a 1 damage, right? Because you take 2 from the Lyrial and it buffs up the Reaper 1.
Right.
But you've already thrown kind of your
Zombie
novice
Party
Trooper in
and an
there.
evolved Skeleton Knight. The Skeleton Knight is going to be able to stay alive, trading into one of the followers, where Zombie Party can't take out the 3-drop or the evolved Tachi.
Oh man, that is a long hat. Why's he got such a long hat?
So he can see farther.
Hmm.
Is that how it works? Maybe it's one of those hats that have like the reflecting mirrors, and you can like, look over a fence.
Like a stethoscope. What is it? A stethoscope? Is that what it's called? What's the thing
no.
on submarines called?
No, it's not a stethoscope. A stethoscope is what a doctor
Is
has.
it the doctor?
to hear a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Periscope. Is that what it is? What is it? God, I feel like such an idiot.
It's some scope. Yeah.
Either way,
Anywho.
got board control. Reaper looking pretty scary. Got a 5/2 skeleton.
Yeah, if you want to take out
Opportunity for Whole Soul here to come in, but then you lose out the opportunity to play the Luminous Mage, and you're providing more opportunity for that Reaper to buff up more. So
Yeah. One of the things that makes Reaper so strong is the fact that it gains 1/1. It doesn't just gain attack points. It doesn't just gain attack power. It also gains defense as well. So the more followers that are destroyed, it keeps getting stronger and stronger. Yes, but it's harder and harder to kill as well.
Death's Breath.
Right on turn 6 with those wards. Man, I love that card as a shadow player. It's such a good feeling when you have the perfect amount of shadows to get that Death's Breath. And for Sword, it's an absolute nightmare to chew through. I think Omega is going to have his hands full.
Definitely want to take down the 5 damage there with Whole Soul. And then take down the 4 damage there with a Knight. Now you want to play probably the Lancer instead of the Grimner.
Oh man, but an
Do
Orthrus
you
next
evolve
turn.
to try to mitigate more damage here? Or do you try to save resources?
He's going to evolve.
save you all.
Just to try to take out one of the wards does not. He wants to clear as much as he can. Ector could be coming out this turn.
Either way, Orthrus is going to get value here.
Right.
Ideally, probably
Yeah,
on the
very
warded
true.
card,
Mhm.
because he wants to probably swing face more.
Mm-hmm.
And if that buffs up the zombie, that's perfect, because then he can throw the skeleton in for maximum efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ideal, but Orthrus has been kind of, you know,
So
I
there's
don't
a
know.
few chances that have to line up. He's got to.
Orthrus has been kind of slacking today.
Yeah, we've seen some absolutely stellar. It's been weird. Like days have been better than other days as far as Orthrus is concerned.
If the Orthrus pings a knight, the buff should probably go on the skeleton,
Mhm.
because the zombie can swing the ward.
But what if Orthrus pings the knight, and then the zombie got buffed?
Then that would suck.
Yeah.
But he's gonna opt for kind of.
Ooh, the buff goes
Oh
to the
God.
Anywho, now not
Yeah.
the worst. Having
Yeah.
a 4/1 zombie with ward. I mean, worse things have happened, and he's got another Orthrus in hand as well.
Yeah. There's still no 8-week clear here.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna play Alvidas, and I would imagine you want to kind of mitigate as much as he can.
Yeah. Maybe evolve trade into the skeleton knight. Get rid of that 3/1
Yeah,
follower
then your
after
ward will
the-
maintain.
Or no, evolve the pirate trade into the
Yes.
zombie. So the ward still
Yes.
ward still has 1 health.
Yeah, pirate evolve, trade zombie, and then.
And with
use
the
a
Viking, you're left to do what you will.
Do what you will. There's an argument for going for Orthrus. It has the most defense, and you maintain your Viking on board, but then you're also threatening the 3 damage to happen.
Right.
That's what he's going to do. He's going to maintain on board, and I think this is the middle ground option to try to maintain as much. Oh, God.
Turn 8 Ector, there's no other cards he's going to be able to play along with it. He didn't have a Cerberus earlier in the game, so there's no Coco, no Mimi to go along with it. But nonetheless, one of the most overbearing cards in the game, an absolute monster. It's a demon. He's a demon. Not just a demon, he's the demon lord. No one is going to take his head today.
Lordy. So he's going to be able to wipe the board here.
I failed you, my
Now,
yellow.
that's 8 damage to face. Fangblade is a thing now.
Fangblade, but then you're still taking
He
another.
needs a
With
ward.
Orthrus, yeah, he needs a ward. He has
Oh,
to Grimner.
he's-
No, he just lost.
Oh, no.
The 7th is going to take it with Orthrus. He's going to have just the amount of damage that
Oh,
he needs.
no, and the 7th. So the 7th is going to be left to discard Dragoncraft,
Oh
and
my
he might
gosh.
just 2-0 Omega again. There's the Orthrus drop, and this time there's no failing. Orthrus literally cannot miss, because he only needs to buff any of the other cards.
Any of the other cards.
And there it is. Omega takes the loss, and the 7th will be up 1-0. Is discard Dragoncraft.
What do you think about the discard dragon versus the sword? About that matchup, because the highest cost card in the dragon deck was Draconic Fervor, was a 5-cost card against the Alberts and the I mean Tsubaki is not going to help you.
I actually think Omega's Swordcraft deck might not be aggressive enough to beat it out.
Because of how aggressive the dragon deck is, and that's exactly the matchup we're seeing.
Must die.
Oh man, this game.
Because if we see the 7th hit some ramp here,
things could get nasty real fast. But even if he does hit ramp, he doesn't have a lot of high-cost cards. So he could be exhausting his hand, like getting when you're on Orb 7. And you
but
can,
the big thing is when you get Dragon Oracles, you're drawing, right? So not only are you ramping, but you're drawing your
he
options.
does have the Draconic Fervor as well.
Much like what happened in the semifinals, right? Where he ramped, he drew into the newts, and he was at 8 play points with all the newts. He had so much pressure.
Right. He drew 2 newts at once. He mulliganed 1, and he got that in his hand, and then 2 newts came out right at the same time. Then that was oh, that was absolutely stellar. We could be seeing something like that again.
Trail of Light.
And Trail of Light, what a great synergy it has with Altered Fate. When it's discarded, you get to draw another card.
Dragon's Nest. Not having a 1-drop. Swordcraft needs to go, right? This is a match where Swordcraft is the one that needs to kind of push.
Pedal to the metal. Go, go, go. He's got the Mate Leader for a 2-drop. Definitely not one of the more aggressive options. Very safe. Being able to just kind of replace a card in your hand for a 1-1 on turn 2.
Relying on you, dragon.
And there's ramp. It's going to be real difficult for
Double
Omega.
Luminous Mage
If
is
he
pretty
wants
good.
to wholesale swing, he's gonna have to get rid of the Aelia. Just really playing into the 7th's hand. He's not. He's just gonna leave the Aelia. He's gonna take the 2 damage.
And
now
that's smart.
Right, very smart. And now the 7th, he could Dragon's Nest and then Grimnir as well if he wanted to this turn. And Aelia is gonna be able to trade twice.
It's gonna pull a Newt.
Yep. Oh man.
There's 4 health healing coming in, and that's really gonna slow Omega down. Basically, any kind of storm pressure, he's basically playing to be removed here.
Right. So Aelia is going to get really great value for a 3-drop of 2/2, being able to trade into the Maid Leader and also into the Steel-clad Knight, probably next turn as well.
So he can play the Ayla, evolve, take down the Floral Fencer, and then swing into the Steelclad. And he's going to ramp up 2. Even Blazing Breath to kill off the Knight.
And look at the healing that's available to him and the draw. The healing and the draw from the 2 Dragon's Nests that are going to be popping in 2 turns and the Draconic Fervor.
And
as well.
if he takes that line of play, he's also not really scared of the 5 damage that's going to come from an evolved Albert on this next turn, just because he's going to heal most of that back up. I think what really is kind of in the 7th's favor here is if he needs to draw more, right? We talked about kind of Oracle and Draconic Fervor. He's not in the position to be able to play Fervor right now. Or at least I think it would be an incredible risk to do so.
Yeah, that would be a very greedy play. In the 7th, he's a thinking player, always making the optimal plays. If he was to take that big of a risk here, that would be quite unusual. He's gonna go, like you said, he's gonna get the double ramp this turn. He's gonna be on 8 play orbs next turn as well, but still there's only 1 Dragon Newt in his hand.
So the Dragon's Nests are gonna pop and give him 2 draw. He uses a Blazing Breath on the Knight and does a full board clear, and now this is an opportunity to see either Mage or Albert. But how do you make a choice amongst all these different options here?
He's gonna heal up 4 health next turn anyway.
So you may as well play the
just
Mage.
Maybe evolve it, get like
a Mage evolve Mage. Set up a scenario where you could perhaps then Albert free evolve Albert. Or even Alwida's, evolve Knight.
Right. Yeah, Alwida's next turn. Definitely a threat in the hand for Omega. He's got plenty of options in his hand, and the 7th still only has 3 options. But the 7th, he's going to be able to build up to the Grimnir combos before Omega is with the ramp that he's been able to pull off.
All right, this is a key turn for the 7th, I feel.
Yep, absolutely. This turn 8 play, being able to get the draw from the Dragon's Nest. We'll see what the draws are going to be. He's still a few turns away from using that Grimnir. He's got Breath of the Salamander that could clear the board.
It's going to take down the Mage. But still not the ideal scenario.
Right.
Because he's only going to have 2 play points left, and the only thing he can do is play the Newt, which is not super good or useful to play.
Yeah, he wasn't able to draw into the Altered Fates like I think he wanted to.
He might opt to do the Draconic Fervor into the Grimnir Evolve.
Good, just to really make sure you get those options. And if he Draconic Fervors this turn or Aelia's, then he's going to be on turn 10 next turn. And he just came into the Altered Fate and another Draconic Fervor as well. The 7th, I mean, just a moment ago, I felt like he only had 3 cards in his hand. He was exhausted, but now he's got the options he needs. But also, again, looking at Omega's hand, Omega definitely has the options he needs as well with Dance of Death, Alwida's, and Albert.
He's going to go for the Ayla Evolve. That's going to mean that face damage is going to get through. The Luminous Mage is going to live, so it's going to be a free Evolve on an Albert. So he's got 9 damage heading for his face possibly this turn, or the Alwida's, which I think might be the better choice here, especially because you still have more Luminous Mages, and Albert's not an enhanced turn anyways. I think the smart choice is the Alwida's to have that ward, still evolve for the 5 damage. Looks like he's just going to go unsheathed here.
Probably evolve the Knight. Trade into the Aelia, get rid of the follower. He's already going to be on turn 10 next turn, there's no point.
He might just go straight face.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's going to do with 5 damage. Excuse me, 7 damage.
All right. Now this is an interesting scenario. Do you Fervor again? Or Grimner, but he's not going to be able to kill off that Luminous Mage.
Right, correct.
I think Grimner two times in a row might be nice. You're nowhere close to Enhance Albert, right?
Yeah, that is true. But
Or you could Blazing Breath. Still not enough points to Blazing Breath and Draconic Fervor, which is really kind of any opportunity to play the Fervor is going to be great.
Right, and Altered Fate. I mean, he's got both. He's got 2 Grimners in his hand. Altered Fate would get rid of those cards entirely. Those are the cards we saw double Grimnir win the game.
Okay, he's going to go for Grimner. And I actually think this is a smart move here, especially because you have that second Grimnir here, and you know you can do that 2 turns in a row.
But there's 2 Evolve Orbs left for Omega. He could clear off Grimnir and then go for another 5 face damage.
So as these wards are coming out, because the 7th is going to be playing these ward cards, he's going to slowly be mitigating a little bit of damage.
Right.
The big thing about Swordcraft and their Storm cards is they're beefy enough to kind of survive the 4 damage ping of Grimnir.
Yeah, especially with the 7 defense of an evolved Albert. But man, Alwita's is just going to be the prime target for this Grimnir, but that's a lot of damage from Omega.
7 here to face.
7
This is
damage.
dangerous because there's a second Alwitas available.
A second Alwita's and an Albert as well.
So either way, both Storm options provide 5 damage here, but they only have 1 source of swing.
But you said it, the Grimnir is going to be able to mitigate at least 1 attack from one of Omega's Storm followers.
He's got double Altered Fate and only 1 Newt. If he pulls a second Newt, though, but double Altered Fate, he's going to lose one
He's
of
going
them.
to lose one of them. A similar situation of a Daria that a Daria player might find themselves
He's
in.
1 turn away of having to deal with Enhanced Albert. And with that Evolution Orb, even if he uses Draconic Fervor, it's not going to heal him enough to survive. So back to the wall for the 7th here.
And that was his last Grimnir in his hand, and Omega just came into his own Grimnir. This match could have just taken a deadly turn. Omega trying to set up for lethal next turn with an evolved Alwitas or an evolved Albert.
Oh, God. The only way I can see it if he gets perfect draws in this scenario.
A Dragon Warrior.
I think he just needs to go for draws here. There it is.
Come into the other Altered Fate. He does. Oh my gosh.
And the second Newt.
No way. He's going to be able to Newt and then
Does
play
he
the Altered
draw
Fate.
new Altered Fate?
Yeah, he's got the Altered Fate. I think this could be it. It's another 6 damage. It's not quite there.
Not quite enough. He needs to close it out on this turn.
Oh my gosh, he's
I
got to
think
know
he
the
needs
Albert's coming
to-
out. If he doesn't end it now,
He can't draw it. Even if he draws,
gosh.
and he gets the 3rd Newt, he doesn't have enough play points to play the last Altered Fate. There's a Newt. Oh my. Oh gosh, I'm
Omega
1 health
is
away.
gonna be able to take it.
You're 1 health away.
Oh no, he drew the 3rd. He had 2 Altered Fates in his hand at one time, and he wasn't able to draw it when he played the second one.
It had to be the Altered Fate into the Altered Fate into the Altered Fate.
You're a solid fighter.
Oh my God! Were there any decisions made there by the 7th that could have even saved them from that scenario?
I don't know. I think it was the draw. It's the nature of the running the Altered Fate Dragonute deck is you run the risk of, just like a Daria player, of coming into those Altered Fates at the same time.
And it was a dangerous game too for the Swordcraft player. The early game was not quite as good as a Swordcraft player had imagined. But what that means is, if your early game is weak, you're standing on a lot of late game cards, right? And he had Luminous Mages to boot. He had Alwitas. He had lots of Alberts in hand, just sitting there waiting. And he just played the options over and over again, constantly got chipping damage to face, even with the double Grimnir. Was not enough to close it out.
Now it's going to be Omega's.
And that's also a situation, too, of kind of early ramp, right? If he had ramped early, he would have had more opportunities to play Draconic Fervor. The more Draconic Fervors he would have played out, he would have been able to make better informed decisions on how to play out his Newts and his Altered Fates.
Right. Now we're going to see how the 7th Dragoncraft deck can match up against this forest matchup with the wards from Aaron and Jungle Warden and the amount of damage that the Roach combos are going to be able to just like tick away at turn by turn if
Going
that's
turn
how Omega
2
decides
as
to
well
play it.
for this Forest Craft deck is actually amazing.
Mm.
The Naked Elf.
The Naked Ancient Elf, the alias
Means
gonna
that
be able to
Ayla can
trade in that.
suicide.
Yep.
Which, as bad as that sounds, is actually quite great.
Right.
Draconic Fervor plus Ayla, you pump up 2.
Or you could just Breath of the Salamander, get it off, and then swing for face for 2, and then you get 2 damage to face, and then you still have the opportunity to ramp with the Ayla as well.
He's gonna Fervor pump.
See what Omega decides to do to answer this.
He just passes.
He passes his turn. Yeah, there's 2 Nature's Guidance and a Roach. So Omega could be able to take away some face damage this turn, especially with the first Evolve Orb that he's got. But still, that's not really the turn that the Forestcraft wants to have on turn 4. It's definitely not like having an Elven Princess Mage in hand. He does have the Finas for next turn as well, getting those Goblin Mages in hand.
The Goblin Mages are nice because they're 0-drop, but they're used less often as combo pieces. More often just as board control, as well as drawing into options for later, whereas Princess Mage is much more about saving the fairies for Roach combos.
You're done for.
Oh, he's gonna swing face probably here.
The journey
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the 7th has not drawn into any of the Dragon's Nest, so there's no like turn 7 or 7 orb healing opportunities and draw as well, though 7th is not really worried about draw right now. He's got plenty of cards in his hand, plenty of options to play with.
Oh, a second. Ancient Elf here.
He could Dragon Warrior and then Breath of the Salamander this turn as well. Blazing Breath too. Yeah,
That's going to be a pretty good turn. Blazing Breath, trade into Ayla, and use a Draconic Fervor is actually really solid, especially with double newts. Now, he has the risk of drawing a bunch of Altered Fates here. Ideally, he would like to get the 3rd newt and maybe an Altered Fate, and that would be perfect for him.
That would be the absolute dream, is having that combo on turn 8.
Interesting. He's going to use Salamander and Evolve to swing Ayla.
You're right. A good call there. For the 7th, he didn't want to risk. He knows that it's very likely an Altered Fate could be coming up, and if you draw 2 cards at one time with the Draconic Fervor, then you run the risk of drawing them both, as opposed to just drawing 1 card, and you know that no matter what, if it is Altered Fate, you're only 1, and you still got the opportunity to draw them when you pull off that combo.
Omega is going to be very, very strong soon, because he's got the 0-drop, he's got a bounce, he's got Roach in hand.
Glimmering Rings as well, and the 0-drops, man, that is going to be one beefy Roach. Getting all the power-ups from his little forest friends. See what the options are here for the 7th.
The Fervor and perhaps Goblin Mage to guarantee the newt, and Evolve and take down the Fina.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. The big problem if he does that is that he overflows his hand.
Overflows his hand. That's definitely a risk that you don't want to run. He's got
I
the
think he's
Dragon Oracle
really
for
digging
draw,
for Altered Fate here.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the card he wants. He's got a full 8 cards in his hand, so he'll be at 9 cards when he draws
He
next
only
turn,
has a
and
few
then-
turns left to live, especially with that Fairy Circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Only a few
Once you get
turns
to,
left to live.
I mean, on 6 play points, he can play Goblin Mage, Fairy Circle, and then Roach Bounce Roach. So that'll give you an 8 damage combo. On play point 7, so I guess given the current situation, because you don't really want to spend your Evolution Orb on another Fina here, so it might just be the Aaron, and then you look to 7 or 8 play points. The other situation is Fairy Circle is going to give you 3 1-drops. So if you play that, plus a Goblin Mage, and that Goblin Mage might even pool a second Roach there, which will increase your damage output.
Good.
Again.
Good, very well.
But he could have a 4 and a 6 Roach combo, plus a potential Aaron that might swing.
Either way, the Forest Craft hand right now is more than content with this setup it's got. It could possibly close out the game in the next 2 turns easily. He's gonna play the Fina instead of the Aaron. I think he wants to save that card to really be a turn 8 power, and now he gets the another 0-cost Goblin Mage for an even more potent Roach combo, and there's still not an Altered Fate in the hand of the 7th. This could be it. He does have the enhanced Grimnir, but it's not gonna be
if he
enough.
lets that Fina live, the 7th is dead the next turn.
Right.
Because double Goblin Mage plus Fairy Circle and 1 Fairy is enough to do a Roach Bounce Roach and kill. Well, he doesn't have Evolve now. So he's going to do what? Double Goblin Mage, Fairy Circle, Fairy. That means you get the 5 and the 7.
Another Dragon Oracle. There's still
12
not
plus the 5,
Altered
17. Not quite.
Everyone who's watching, are you believing for the 7th?
Blow you away.
Dragon Warrior just to get,
It won't be long now.
just to keep the Dragon Oracle in his hand for another draw opportunity. And he's clearing off the Fina as well, but that just opens up the board. He could play Grimnir just to get that ward to mitigate 1 attack from the Roach that's coming out next turn.
I think he wants to... I think the better option here is to take down the Fina and draw.
Running away is okay.
Okay. So he's gearing up for this next turn to draw a lot.
Dropped Fairy Circle.
Okay. So there's not lethal here
Okay.
in hand.
Okay, yeah, there's only 1 Roach, 1 Nature's Guidance.
He's 1 damage off of it, I believe. Oh, well, no, he's now more because he lost his Evolve Goblin Mage.
So with the Forest Craft
Or
1,
Evolve Fina.
would you want to throw all your eggs in that basket even though you don't have lethal just to get that massive kind of face damage in this matchup?
I think Aaron for the healing is the most valuable you can do because that's
Okay.
going to prevent... That's going to be the best situation. You get the ward to prevent that Dragon Warrior from swinging in for like a surprise lethal, and you heal yourself up for a combo lethal, right? So I think the Aaron is actually the best method to kind of tie that over. The only thing about it that's uncomfortable is you would rather play that Aaron for the Evolution Orb, and that makes your Roach combos even stronger.
Right.
But if that Aaron survives, then you have the Aaron swinging in, and you have 8 play points, and you have that Roach combo coming in.
So there's plenty of options. In the next turn, Aaron could be played to just gain that Evolution Orb, and then that could be used on the Roach combo for an extra 2 bits of damage. But either way, there's an Evolved Dragon Warrior. That can now be
I think
Lord.
he's going to use the bounce here.
Probably just to get a little
Just
bit of
to
face
draw.
damage.
I'm the Force Protector.
And now he can Glimmering Wings. Well, even then, like that would be a little risky. His hand would be overflowed, and then yeah, that would be.
There's
not a
Altered Fate.
situation. Yep, there's Altered Fate. Oh my gosh, this is what the 7th has been waiting for. He's got 2 Dragonoots, but also a Grimnir as well. Altered Fate means getting rid of that Grimnir. Is that what the 7th wants to do? We'll see what he decides to do in these next few moments.
So it's a risk, right? I feel like you are almost guaranteed the win if you Grimnir, swing with the Dragon Warrior, and survive the turn after that.
With the ward, mitigating 1 attack from one of the Roaches.
I think. So if you don't die to the Roach combo, which I'm going to take a look at the math again. You got the Fairy Circle. You got the 2-0 drops. The Fairy Circle is going to take you down to 7. And you can play 2 fairies. So that gives you Fairy Circle, 2 fairies, 2 goblins.
Is there any option that Glimmering Wings would be able to bring into your hand
6,
that would make it better?
8 for 13. So it's going to be the Aaron.
You're done for.
I actually think this is...
Get out
It
of
might
my
be
sight.
over.
You might be over with the 2 Dragonoots and the Altered
If he
Fate.
gets the second Altered Fate off of his Altered Fate,
Correct.
I think it's over.
Correct. Oh, a 3rd
Oh
Dragonoot.
my god.
Goodness. That is gonna be just
my God.
insane. The Dragon Warrior doesn't even need to swing for face. He might... he's gonna play the 3rd one this time. It's going to be it. Even he still have 2 play points remaining for another Altered Fate. What's it going to be? He
He doesn't
get
have it.
another Altered Fate, but it's not going to matter because the 7th is going to be able to take this finals game with the 3 Dragonutes Altered Fate combo. Man, I want to drive up to whatever fast food restaurant he was eating at and order that combo. What number was that so that I can order that?
The 7th not only won 2 tournaments in a row, both against Omega, both of them at 2-0, and this time he won with a Dragon Nuke combo.
Absolutely
Off the
insane.
bat. I just don't even know what to say. I
What
never
a
thought I would
momentous
see.
victory. Yeah.
I mean, I thought Imperial Dragoon was the coolest thing I'd seen up until now.
Nah. The 7th said, nah, you ain't seen nothing yet.
What?
Just wait and see, man.
What happened?
He did not disappoint. That's what happened.
Oh my god. I can't believe it. He got the killing blow with it. It could not have been more picture perfect. And it was incredible because he was holding on to that last evolution orb as well. He was waiting for the perfect moment to use it. And that Dragon Warrior evolve came in huge. Not only was it able to help him get board control and prevent lethal damage by Roach combo,
But with
because
the Grimnir, he was able to ping for the Grimnir 4 damage and then the Dragon Warrior attack for 4 damage. Well, that was 8 damage that turn.
and I would have to wonder on that turn that Omega chose to play Ancient Elf as opposed to playing the Aaron. I have to wonder if that was kind of the nail in the coffin for him.
He would have healed up and he would have eventually lived.
It's hard to say.
a tough choice.
I think
Either
it's
way,
super
yeah,
hard to
this
say.
is what happened. Very hard to say.
It's super hard to say. I think overall Omega made the better decision there by playing what he did, but knowing what cards he had in hand, I think there needed to be some kind of a risk that I think it was hard for Omega to calculate in that situation. A very confusing deck to play against, right? Because you don't know how much power
At
the
any
7th
moment,
is sitting
at any moment,
on.
the Dragonutes could come down and then Altered Fate, so you really have to play with that in mind.
The full triple Dragon Nuke combo. The 7th. Let's take a look at the bracket. I'm still floored. I don't even know what to say. He took the tournament win. Oh, sorry, it was a 2-1. Sorry,
It's all good,
my
man.
brain's exploded.
I think
it was a 2-1 win.
all of our brains are exploded.
It was a 2-1 win against Omega, and then the 2-0 win against Sleet, and then the 2-0 victory against Bloody Lust. And then for Omega, he had actually a great path as well, defeating Keishi and then Unluer, a previous tournament winner. He got stopped twice by his teammate. The 7th, foot on face, says, "No, you bow down to me." Sitting on his throne.
Gosh, he's probably a little bit nicer than that.
Oh my
Maybe,
gosh.
I don't know the guy.
The 7th was absolutely awesome. If you guys want to take part in the Shadowverse Open, make sure to go to shadowverse.ng.io. Sign up. You can get all the information about the tournament rules, when to participate, when the tournaments are, when the broadcasts are, who are the champions. All that information is there. Make sure to go to @WatchNGE to find any kind of social media posts, any announcement, any of that kind of stuff. You can go there. Make sure, if you're in the area, if you're not in the area, fly out to go to MomoCon. Meet us there. I would love to see your beautiful faces and to play some Shadowverse with you and get some cool card pack stuff, some cool bell ringer angel alarm clocks, and just share that experience with you guys. And congratulations once again to the 7th with that incredible Dragon Ute win. Oh my God. 2 tournaments in a row. Tournament number 7, now tournament number 8. There's only 2 more Shadowverse Opens left. If you guys want to stop EXG, sign up, show up next week. I can't wait. That's Sterling. I'm ready. Thank you again to Ignitius for joining.